WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Good morning. Thought I'd help you wake up.
It's 6 a.m. and you're listening to The John Kincade Show, Philadelphia's longest-running sports talk morning show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Let the party begin!
The show starts now.
I don't know if it's a Super Bowl rematch or a Super Bowl preview, but thank God in heaven that it's finally here, because it seems like we've been waiting for this game, well, since April, when we knew it was on the schedule, and then we had to wait 15 sleeps to finally get to see the Eagles face the Chiefs tonight at Arrowhead, or whatever they're calling it now. They put another name on it. 6 a.m. hour of the John Kincade Show, brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White is here for the pro, and it's pretty amazing. We've waited so long for this, and rarely do you build up something to such a level that it actually lives up to the expectation. We don't know what the game's going to be like tonight, but back in April, I don't know how many people said, yeah, pencil in, the Eagles and the Chiefs are going to have the best records in football in each of their conferences as they get ready to face this battle tonight. I am so excited for this game. I just don't want to wait till 8 o'clock to do it. I don't want to wait 14 hours, 14 more hours today, Bob, till we get to see the rematch or the preview. What does it feel more like to you?
It's funny. I don't look at it either way.
So you don't look at the games like you're like, last year's its own entity.
Yeah, which is weird because, and we'll get into this more later, I watched the Super Bowl again this weekend. Saturday night, came home from a party. We were, an afternoon thing. Everybody's in their rooms. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm flipping around. I said, Eagles Super Bowl's on. So I watched the whole game. No, it wasn't. It was a good game.
Was it painful?
No, God, no. It was. I thought it was a really good football game. It didn't make me say, "Oh yeah, you got." It didn't make me really say anything. I think this is just its own entity kind of year. I said that's me. I separate the years. I separate the games. I separate the weeks. It's boring, I know, but that's just where I am. I don't look at revenge. I don't look for previews. I've just been waiting for this game for a time like we all have. I just can't wait to get out.
So no matter what happens tonight, are you telling me mentally, like, you don't pack? Like, I know whatever happens tonight is going to affect me if these two teams make the Super Bowl.
Nah.
See, for you it doesn't. You keep each one individually as its own entity.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not good at
Super
that.
Bowl is going to be November, December, January, February, 3 months away.
February 11th.
I mean, 3 months away. What can you glean out of tonight's game that you could say is relevant in 3 months? There's probably going to be very, very little.
Pat, do you see it as a Super Bowl rematch or a Super Bowl preview, or like Bob, you think it's none?
Yeah, nobody's doing it like Bob. Like, that's ridiculous.
Bob's clinical.
Yeah,
but he's clinical in his thought process.
Clinical stop. Like, this is ridiculous. Like,
Okay, Pat, your thinking's the only way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your thinking is absurd.
It's proven to
because it is a Super Bowl rematch. That's legitimately what it is. It's a Super Bowl rematch, Bob. But it is a Super Bowl preview because it's the two best teams in the league. I don't know what this crap is you're talking about. Living in the moment.
Well, which one is it? Go ahead,
It's
Pat.
both. It's both, Bob.
Oh, it's
Now,
all
you say
rolled
it's
up
It
in
is
one,
literally
which
both.
makes it its own game.
It's a Super Bowl rematch, but it's a Super Bowl preview.
I look at it as very different teams. I think the Eagles are a different team going in. I think the Chiefs are a different team going in. Bob watched a Chiefs team. If he rewatched the Super Bowl, that was offensively one of the best teams in the league. This year they're not, but defensively they are. The Eagles look completely different. How they're winning. They're winning by, every week is a knife fight in a phone booth. It's a struggle bus to find a way to win. But it's amazing, and they keep doing it. And Nick Sirianni just keeps finding a way to win. I think this is a completely different matchup than last February. Like, I don't even look at the game and sort of handicap it like we did when we were on Radio Row out there in Phoenix. Completely different to me, watching these two teams.
Yeah, this Eagles team looks different. The good or bad, whatever it may be, they just look different than they were last year. And I have a feeling on what it is, and I'll let you know later because I think we have a segment talking about it. But
Good.
it's just different. And so that's why I can't say, is it a preview for the Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't know what Eagles team's going to be healthy in 3 months from now or what healthy 3 months from now.
Let's who's more likely to be there in February on the gut instinct?
I think it's a much, much tougher division than the conference, I should say.
Gut
I
instinct?
agree with that. Yeah, I think the Eagles have a better chance than the Chiefs just because of the conference.
I watched the Lions yesterday, and by the way, yesterday I did the major problem that I never do. I'm in one of those eliminator pools. There are now 5 people left. I'm one of the 5 survivors. I had Detroit yesterday, and I was sweating that thing out till the last possible second. I think Detroit's going to be a problem for people, and I think that whoever Detroit plays in their first home game, they're going to beat. So whoever they get, they beat. And I think they can win the 2-3 game if they sit in the 2-3 spot. And I got to tell you, the 49ers just, if you don't get enough pressure on Brock Purdy, he really does a great job. He does a great job, not a good job, great job delivering the football. And the way Kyle Shanahan schemes things, he's got wide open receivers to throw to. That game's going to be great coming up 2 weeks from yesterday. But the NFC, I don't think anybody's doing them any favors. This is going to be a battle to the very end. And, Pat, you brought up something I wanted to get to early. Do you consider tonight a must-win or not?
I don't, but I could see why people do because you look at the state of the NFC with the Lions winning yesterday, the Cowboys winning, 49ers winning. Some of those teams,
no help. No help at all.
I mean, it's back-to-back weeks. You've gotten no help. Some of these teams have favorable schedules like the Lions. So I think for some people, they will look at it like a must-win. You need to win to kind of prove to yourself you can beat this team. And you need to win just based on the standings alone. I was looking more so at standings-wise. Do you think it's a must-win? They still have a tough stretch coming up here after this game.
I don't. And the reason I don't is because of 2 things. One, no matter what happens, the Eagles are going into Thanksgiving unbeaten in their conference. By the way, since 2000, being unbeaten in your conference on Thanksgiving has accounted for 23 teams. It's hard to do. And they're unbeaten in their division. I look at tonight's game as a great, what's the old word? And I didn't do my science. Sorry, Mr. Severin. The litmus test, whatever that means. I look at tonight more as a litmus test of, okay, can they put it together when they need to? Can they play a great team? And I do believe the Chiefs are a great team. Can you play a great team and find a way to put it all together to beat them? That's how I look at it tonight. If they lose tonight, I'm not going to be happy because you're going to be tied with the Lions and you will be still ahead of them in the conference. But you're going to have to sweat it out. A lot different.
Must win. Every game's a must win, right? But must win. I don't look at it like that. It's the biggest challenge you had. It's the most fun you should have as far as going up against a premier team. That's what you play sports for, right? That's how you want to challenge yourself. Go up against the best to be the best. So, yeah, I look at it that way. Will I take anything away from it as far as future, anything like that? Oh, what does this mean for the Eagles' Super Bowl chances? No, I just don't. I don't know that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to break an ankle next week.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you just assume health, though. But if you assume health for both teams, say both teams are healthy.
Yeah, well, listen how you just talked about Brock Purdy. And like 3 weeks ago, we were all saying,
man. I never doubted the 49ers were a huge threat.
Well,
I think they were the biggest threat next to Dallas because I still think Dallas can be a big threat to us.
Now, Pat and I both think that San Fran is the bigger threat, I believe. Right, Pat? I know I do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and 3 weeks ago, they had lost three in a row, and I know a lot of us were saying, people were wondering, wow, is this San Fran team for real? I mean, that's just the ebbs and flows of an NFL season. The Eagles could go on a 3-week slump right now. They could, and they could still be the best team in football and still be in the Super Bowl and be a totally different team in 3 months from now than they are right now or in a couple of weeks.
Eagles go on a 3-week slump, Bob. You know what that means? You're not the number 1 seed. In fact, you have no chance to be the number 1 seed, I would think.
Well, last year they slumped and won games.
Yeah,
they had that.
They
Maybe
did that
they're
this
good
year. You
enough
think
to do
already?
that. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe this is the good half of the schedule. We're going to see. We're going to see a better half coming up. It's a Football Friday in the Fanatic, Football Monday in the Fanatic, I should say, excuse me, presented by Pierce Phelps, Bryant, Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. Bob said a word there, Pat, and I'm going to ask people, do you consider this game a Super Bowl rematch or a preview? Which one more? We'll get to that coming up, and you can join us at 610-632-0975. But Bob just said a word that I know I will not feel tonight at 9:15, 10:15, 11:15. Bob said tonight's going to be fun. Is it going to be fun for you tonight? Eagles-Chiefs?
No.
I wish I could be Bob.
No, and this
I
is,
wish I could.
This
I
is
can't.
where the journalist and Bob takes over because he's able to take out the suckiness of being a fan, which is the nervousness.
Because I'm going to be a wreck leading up to the game tonight. Tonight's not going to be fun for me. Like, it's not going to be fun.
How can be watching sports not be
Because it's an Eagles game.
Yeah, because it's stressful.
It's stressful. I swear to you, Bob, Christina says, why do you guys do, like when we'll have people over and stuff, she'll laugh at us, she'll all yelling and be intense and everything. And she'll go, why do you guys find this enjoyable? Why is it enjoyable? You've just got that. You have a great ability to do. I wish I was more like you.
You've
You've
never once watched a game and go, why do I do this?
Because I do it all the time.
Like after like a crappy loss, you're like, why do I do this to myself?
No, I honestly
Jesus
don't.
Christ.
Hey,
Yo,
he's not with us.
yeah, you
He's
don't,
not
you
with
don't
us
need to
today.
talk like that.
I can't imagine. Like I do that.
I get upset like at stupid plays and all that, and I'll be like, "What the hell were they thinking?" Whatever this and that. But
Do you yell at the TV?
no, not really. Like I might be like, "What are you thinking?" But I could do that on both sides. Like say tonight, if Patrick Mahomes makes a really stupid play, I could yell out, "What the hell are you thinking?" I observe more than I ingest. I guess
I yell at the TV, Pat.
Yeah.
I know you, Pat. I know you're a yeller. I
I'm
know
about to
you
yell
yell
right
at
now.
the TV. Right. I know you yell at the TV. I absolutely yell. And she'll say, they can't hear you. They can't hear you. I said, I don't care. It's venting. It's venting. I know this. Tonight's game has been so built up. I don't know how it can deliver, but I'm absolutely convinced that it will. I'm absolutely convinced we're going to see another great game. And if you remember, back in the day, when the Colts and the Patriots every year met, and they used to schedule this game right around this time because they wanted it in November during sweeps, and they would schedule this game, and it would be a huge Sunday night game or a Monday night game, and it seems like the Patriots and the Colts always delivered. Like every year, they were two great teams, they were two great teams again, and they always delivered. I have a feeling these two teams are going to deliver on the big stage tonight. A fine game, like an exciting, really nail-biting game.
So that should make you happy.
No, it's going to make me stressed. It's going to make me stressed. I'm going to enjoy being an Eagles fan, but if they lose, I know it's going to be the intrusive thoughts, Bob. You don't have them, I do. If they lose tonight, I'm going to be like, damn it, if they play the Chiefs again, how can I have bravado when this team
Because
doesn't?
it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, right, Pat?
It
Haven't we
isn't,
heard that 1,000 times?
And that's wrong.
Yes.
I proved
many
that wrong
times.
last playoffs.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. They didn't. Yes, teams win more often 3 times in a row in a season than they lose 3 times in a row in a season. And everybody was trying it last year with the Giants. It doesn't. You're more likely to win. And this is a different season anyway. But I just have a weird, like it's going to be. If they win, I'm going to absolutely be thinking of that parade. I will be thinking of a parade down Broad Street. If they lose,
We got to teach you to stay in the moment. You're going to miss 3 months of football because you're going to be excited for a parade over a Monday night football game
I'm going to be
in November.
An outcome of a Monday night football game is the way it's going to be. What's the outcome going to be? Is the Super Bowl preview? We'll get to some of that talk with you at 610-632-0975. Later on, we're going to give away the spring training trip with Philly Sports Trips.
Oh, cool.
We have a winner.
We have a winner.
And that winner will be announced coming up later on in the show. Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds is going to come in and preview the Eagles and the Chiefs with us coming up today at 8 o'clock. He'll be live in studio. Plus, we'll get to all your calls. John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. live in-game wagering. That's all you need. What if I told you tonight John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. Appreciate you making time for us this morning. Bob, I will now be obsessed all week trying to pick I got 21 teams left to choose from, but none of them are really any good except the Eagles. I had my eliminator. Pat, five people left, and one of the people has already proposed a split the money thing.
Well, how much money?
$2,850.
Everybody gets 2,800.
No, everybody gets like 550. I guess it would be.
The winner gets 2,800.
I'd wait a week.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I'd wait a week.
I'm not going for it. Yeah, especially Detroit yesterday. I'm not going to do that. But we got a lot of people excited about the game tonight. Obviously, we've been talking about it since April. But do you look at it as a rematch? Do you look at it as a preview? Or you like Bob and you look at it as neither? And Eric in Central Jersey joins us. Eric, good morning. You driving this morning?
Yeah, I'm on my way into work.
Hi, Eric. Good to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah, all right, so here we go with this question. To start, I don't see it really as a rematch. It's a different season, and listen, even if we win, it's not comparison to a Super Bowl win. So,
doesn't bring anything back.
Doesn't bring anything back. As far as the preview goes, it could be, but I see it more as this game line is more storylines that are going with this, that if it happens to be the Super Bowl, my main thing that I'm looking for tonight is the acquisition of Kevin Byard. Does that help eliminate their best weapon in Travis Kelce? And that's going to be one of my main focus because he is good at covering the tight end, and we need to see that because if it is a rematch, that's what we need to stop.
Did you listen to the New Heights podcast this week?
I did.
That was incredible because
it was.
Travis Kelce gives a ton of respect to Kevin Byard. Tons of respect.
Tons of respect. And like I said, the storyline's what I'm looking for. I want to see Hurts moving smooth on that leg. I want to see if Jurgens back helps that offensive line there, solidify that. So to me, it's more of a storyline game, not really a rematch or a preview. But if it is a preview, then I want to see Travis Kelce, limited.
Thanks, Eric.
Not going to stop him, but limited.
I appreciate it. The Dallas Goedert broken arm, still in play, but he's not on IR. He's coming back. But Bob, again, I'll raise my hand and say Nick Sirianni knows what he's doing. Because, again, we're in a week, well, this is a week 11 game, I guess they call it. And the Eagles are totally healthy. And Dallas Goedert's broken arm has nothing to do with training camp. Nothing. It was a freak play in one game. It has nothing to do with if he had done it at training camp, nothing to do with it. I questioned it big time. Nick Sirianni, again, he absolutely understands how to get this team healthy, rested, ready to go.
Well, the bye week came at a great time. You had two offensive linemen that have been hurt. You have a slot corner that's out for the year. You have a tight end with a broken arm. There's been plenty of injuries to be had. So I just think the bye week came at a great time. Them looking to be perfectly healthy going into the night, except for Goddard. Sans Goddard. We'll go that
Very
way.
Good.
Thank you. I wonder how much of a hindrance it's going to be not having Goddard there. And it's funny, watching last year's Super Bowl, like I did on Saturday night, Jalen Hurts looks 100 times different now than he did then. It was almost like, Pat, you're watching the TV and you dialed it up to go in fast motion for him, but everybody else was just going normal speed. It was amazing. Maybe it's a case you can't run him all that much, all that. But my God, all over the place in that game. It's just a different look than what you pretty much all of this season. It's so different.
I told you it's a game I totally fell in love blindly with Jalen Hurts' game because I absolutely do not see a guy. I knew that night we had a guy who on the biggest stage could go toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in the league.
It took to the Super Bowl?
It really did. Because neither well, the thing is, and you were the first one out on.
No.
Who was? Jamie
was the first one
Jamie
out.
was first one out.
Yeah,
I was in on him, but doing that thing where I ride the fence. I'm not out, but I need to see more. And neither playoff game gave me that. Because you remember the playoff games, he was sort of unimpressive because he was coming off that injury. And he was a little unimpressive in those games.
I don't remember being unimpressed. I don't.
I don't think the
I definitely
Giants.
was unimpressed because the Giants game they put up like 30 something.
Yeah, and I didn't put that on. I put that on the Giants suck. Then I put it on more. Jalen was amazing, and the San Francisco game I didn't put on Jalen. I put that on the defense.
Well,
myself.
yeah, the storyline there was Brock Purdy getting knocked out of the game.
Nasty. Hey, Jay in West Philly joins us. Jay, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Good morning, y'all. Good morning, y'all. I got a couple questions before y'all cut me off. But as far as the game go, it's just a regular season game. It's not a Super Bowl rematch because we don't win enough for this. And if it's a preview, if we see them later, we see them later. But right now, this is a 1-0 week. We got to try and win this game tonight.
Is it going to affect you, the outcome of this game, is it going to affect your psyche if we say February 11th, we're getting ready to watch the Eagles and the Chiefs again? It won't?
No,
How do you do that? How do you and Bob do that?
Because it's a regular season game. We're not going to win nothing out of this. It's going to be extremes both ways. If we win, everybody, that's not going to guarantee a Super Bowl victory.
Right.
If we play them again. So it's just a regular season game. That's what it is.
You and Bob are admirable to me.
Attaboy, Jay.
You're very admirable because I don't know that I could do that.
And the NOLA contract, I love it. I love it. What I think they're going to do, I think they're going to trade Taiwan Walker. I think they're still in the mix for Snell.
I do not believe they're going to trade
I don't
Taiwan
know if
Walker.
anybody. I don't know if anybody would take Taiwan Walker's contract.
It's a big contract.
Not that it's horrible, but it is kind of bigger. He did have 15 wins last year.
What's it, 3 more years, Pat, or 4?
3 more.
I think you signed,
Three more
I think you signed a 4-year deal.
I don't think anybody's taking Taiwan Walker. I just don't believe someone's taking that contract. Even though the wins, as you say, Bob, there's some. And I admire the guy taking the bump every time that they ask him to. He was durable. But, Pat, I know you are not a fan of the contract. I'm going to flat out tell you that I wanted him back, so I cannot be in any way hypocrite. I wanted Nola back. I sort of like the deal. And I can tell you from talking to a baseball executive this weekend that 100% certainty, Aaron Nola let other teams know, I want to be a Philly first and foremost, and if they come with a great deal that I accept, I'm going back. Now, the numbers that people projected him to get were totally way off. And $30 million wasn't happening anywhere. But he did supposedly turn down more money to go elsewhere.
Yeah, so then that leads you to believe that maybe $30 million, he would have gotten $30 million. $30 million a year.
$30 million's way off. That's $5.5 million less than he got.
Well,
More than he got.
but maybe he was all right with that. I don't know. It seemed like we don't know. It seemed like it was. I mean, $25 million, you take a pay cut, $5 million at that point. What does it matter? But no, my Sunday was ruined yesterday by listening to Ray do like a celebration as Nola came back. Now the money isn't as bad as I and many people thought. $25 million a year, but 7 years for Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Yeah, I hate sports.
What if
I'm on an island. I get it, but celebrating bringing back a guy that last year had a 4.65 ERA, and then the year before he was great, but the year before that, what did he do? And next year Next year he'll be great. Next year he'll be phenomenal because it's every other year.
Was Ray celebrating?
Yeah, he was so pumped.
Okay,
yeah.
that to me is over the top. But I wanted him back, Bob. I wanted the guy that I know is a dependable starter. I can count on that doesn't burn the bullpen as much as the other starters. I wanted the guy who is dependable, and that dependability I was willing to have them pay for it.
Yeah, I didn't. It's funny. I went back in my notebook, and Pat and I were texting yesterday. In my notebook, I had 7 years, 175, or 5, 145.
I said it the other day, 7-175.
175. It was almost right on there.
Almost exact.
I don't, look, are you going to, if you didn't bring back Nola, and Pat, just honest question here, just spewing stuff. If you didn't bring back Nola, how many guys could you have gotten that were better than him for a starter, realistically?
On the free agent market?
Like 2 or 3?
Yeah. Who's better than him?
One
Guaranteed.
on the free agent market.
Yeah, so I kind of looked at it like that. I said, okay, if you lose Nola, I'm not saying you got to get somebody to replace him and be your number 2. You're obviously going to have to get another pitcher. But if you're going to have a starting 5 of pitchers and he's your best option, what are you against getting him for?
If anyone tells me, well, Sonny Gray is definitely better than him, bull crap. Sonny Gray is in the same conversation or close to it, but you can't grades the same as Aaron Nola, and especially for the nation too. And also, too, what we've seen, this market, pitching here, some people struggle with it. Some people struggle with Philly. Aaron Nola's totally built for it. He barely has a pulse. And I think you're paying for that also. But, Pat, where I'll get is there's no way he turned down $5 extra million.
I don't honestly care how much he turned down, what he gave up, all that.
I love the 7 years, though.
I hate it. Like, why do I want 7 years of that?
Because isn't it do what you said, like sort of when you said, I guarantee you that deal will be a bargain in 3 years.
Yeah, if you look at it that way, yeah, sure. I'm looking at it like the headache of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But
you've taught me to look at it that way, though.
No, and
you're the
no,
one who's,
like,
you know what I mean?
When I saw 175, I thought, okay, yeah, like that money wise, it's not nearly as bad as I thought. I'm looking at it from the fan that desperately wanted to move on from a guy that is erratic as Kanye West's mood swings. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't know if mentally I'm ready to do another 3.5 innings. He looks like Sandy Koufax, and the next thing you know, it's walk, hit, home run,
right?
Another home run, 5 1/3 innings pitched.
But like you said, there was only
five
one
earned runs.
There was only one better out there, though, right?
There was one free agent better out there.
You wanted
the
to
trade
or
market.
something?
Yeah, my number one was Yamamoto, and then my number two was go and trade for
still
Do you
something.
think
in on
that's
him,
real?
Pat.
No, I don't. I think they're.
I
out.
don't think the
I think they're
Yamamoto's
completely
real.
out.
I don't buy any
let me
of that.
let me clear. I don't think they're completely out. I think that the ship has sailed on getting them.
I think he's the long term, like long shot, complete long shot, because now other teams are going to be able to do that. You think somebody though did shoot themselves in the foot with Yamamoto?
Oh yeah.
Who?
Oh yeah. The New York Yankees. Brian Cashman is an idiot. All right, so Yamamoto apparently had eyes for a lot of teams. One of them being the Yankees. And I don't know if you guys saw Brian Cashman pop off to the media about Giancarlo Stanton.
No.
Basically saying that Giancarlo Stanton is always injured. You can't really rely on him.
I did hear something about that.
And Giancarlo Stanton's agent was not too happy about it.
I would imagine that he wouldn't.
He was a little pissed off, right? And his agent went right back at Brian Cashman and said, well, hopefully free agents will think about those comments when they're deciding whether or not to sign with the Yankees. Who do you think Yamamoto shares an agent with?
No!
Good job. Good job, Brian Cashman.
I thought it was Boston who people are sort of talking about. Boston, Seattle.
Yeah, it's
like
Seattle
a lot of
apparently
West
out.
Coast. Now?
Is
Okay.
said to be out, but who knows? I mean, he's getting posted today or tomorrow, so every day it seems like MLB will put out a story of so-and-so is interested in Yamamoto. He's the best pitcher out there. It was amazing to me that this guy couldn't just shut up, and he has to pop off about a client that is shared with the same agent.
Maybe
I think
he knew
they've
he
shot
was
themselves
out.
in the foot. Maybe that's a possibility. That is an absolute possibility that maybe they didn't think that they were a serious contender for him, but it's the Yankees, and the draw of going there is real. We've seen them get involved with Japanese players many times before. So I think this kind of just guaranteed he won't be a Yankee.
So getting back to the Nola real quick,
Yes.
You said you hated it. Does the money of the contract bother you at all, or are
No.
you liking it?
No, money.
So
So it's not money.
It's not money. No, I mean when you're paying Taijuan Walker $18 million and you're paying this guy $7 million more,
I can't believe
the
that,
risk.
honestly.
The risk is worth it in that sense because if you do get good Nola, it's a bargain. If you get bad Nola, if you get the Nola that you got last year, 4.46 ERA Nola, then you're overpaying. $25 million in overpayment because he pitched like a number 4 last year. But everybody got hyped up because it was like 5 really good starts to end the season.
2 years in a row, he's shown up with some really big starts. I get you.
No,
I can't wait.
he
till,
has.
I
He
can't
has,
wait
but-
till later with Pat when I talk to him about some of the other guys that they brought back this weekend.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
Pat may lose his mind. You do not want to miss that. You don't want to miss the Fanatic deal of the week either. It's Yuletide at Devon. You can ring in the holidays and save big with the Fanatics deal of the week. This week only, get 2 tickets to Yuletide at Devon. It's a European-inspired Christmas festival for just $35. That's half price. Your ticket includes free carnival rides, photos with Santa, live music, plus enjoy over 35 high-end boutique shops chef-created menus, and craft drinks. Check out this exclusive offer now at 975thefanatic.com. Keyword deal. 2 tickets, $35. Get in on it today. Bob, is the more likely thing to happen tonight, and you guys will have the Trap Tavern. You'll be out there for the pregame show tonight.
Yeah, we will. Trap Tavern. Can't wait.
Trap Tavern is how I hear it read on the commercial. Is it more likely, if I told you this scenario, one team is up by 13, and it's the second half, who is it? What's more likely?
The Chiefs or the Eagles?
Like, you must have been good in the SAT with that. Like gut instinct, because you had a really chesty, and now I'm feeling like you're a little like.
No, I still feel good about the game. I felt better, last week as it gets closer to the
changed?
game. Nothing really, just the reality of it, just knowing the Chiefs had a bye week, reading stories, all of those things. Up by 13 in the fourth quarter, I'd have to go Chiefs.
In the second half, second half.
Oh, I thought you said fourth quarter.
No, second half.
It could be,
13-point lead.
honest to God, it could be either one of me. Eagles had a 10-point lead at halftime of the Super Bowl last year. I think both teams are really good, and I think both teams have an ability to do that. I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be a good, tight game. And I could see a team having a 13-point lead in the second half, and it still wind up being a really close, tight game.
Pat, I can't get an answer out of him today on this one. Like it's
a silly question.
I don't think it's a silly question at all, because somebody may, if one of those teams was likely to get out to a 13-point lead, Pat, who do you think it would be in the second half?
At home, I'd go Chiefs. I'd probably pick the home team no matter what.
Yeah.
In that situation. So if it was
the Houston Texans versus the Chiefs?
Well, no. I mean, in this situation, I'd have to pick the home team.
Well, you see, I look at it this way. I look at it as the Eagles are the more likely team. And the reason why is because I like the Eagles offense a lot better than the Chiefs offense. A lot better. Not a little, lot. And I like the Chiefs defense, though, a lot better. Right now, a lot better than the Eagles defense. And I'm expecting tonight a healthier version. It's not the Chiefs defense. It's not the Chiefs offense being injured. Chiefs offense just hasn't been good. And I don't think Andy Reid did Patrick Mahomes any favors with his weapons that he gave him. I don't think it's...
Or lack thereof.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done him any favors at all. And to me, that's going to be one to watch tonight. I'm looking forward to that. And that's one to watch tonight. Is just... I think the Eagles have such better, honestly, offensive personnel.
Oh, going across the board, absolutely. I mean, you only have to start at wide receiver. And Chiefs have a nice running game where they mix and match a lot of their running backs. They'll go 3 deep with McKinnon and Edwards-Helaire and then Pacheco. They have all of that stuff going on. They're just fast. It's just here we go. And the Eagles are going to have to calm that down a little bit. And then, of course, you have the pacifier for Patrick Mahomes in Travis Kelce. But that's match names. It's across the board, too. I mean, you can go to Chris Jones defensively for Kansas City, but the Eagles, you can also go, A, B, C, D, E, F. The Eagles have names across the board way more than Kansas City does.
They really do.
I mean, Kansas City's just winners, and they know what it takes, and they know how to do it.
If you lay the depth charts of both teams over each other, I tried to do that yesterday. I was a little frustrated with the Lions game. And I looked at it and said, if you just say decisive win for the Eagles, I found 8 spots out of 22 where I said decisive win for the Eagles. And to me, that's a lot. That's a lot. I found a lot of ones where I wouldn't be committal. And I just stayed, could go either way. And I even did that at quarterback, which some people would complain about. That, how do you not give it as a thing? But I don't give a decisive edge to the Chiefs at quarterback. Not decisive. I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game, period. And I would imagine what he could do with these weapons here.
Yeah.
He'd probably cry. There's not enough footballs. Not enough footballs. If he was looking at A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and everything. And that is why I wore Devontae this morning. I'm going on my BetParks app. But twice before, and I'll raise my hand, twice before I've said this is going to be the breakout game for Devontae Smith. I think tonight has to be. It has to be because the one thing I know about Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, and they did a great job yesterday, John Clark and Ike Reese and Mike Quick did a really, really good job on the preview of the game on NBC Sports Philadelphia and talking about the fact is the one thing Spags and Reid are going to do is take away what you want to do most. What do the Eagles want to do most? Throw it to A.J. Brown. So they're going to do everything they can not to have that happen.
I think it's why the running game is so important tonight. Kansas City's defense, while very good, isn't all that great against the run. And I think it's incumbent of the Eagles to make sure that they pound that running game down their throats early, often, even to the point of if you know it's coming, try to stop it. You know, the Eagles throughout the years, to me, have been that team when they're at their best, so you don't know what's coming offensively all that much. It wasn't that it was pound, pound, pound. You know, we can beat you this way, although it's been a lot of that with A.J. Brown this year. But it's been more diversity. I would love to see the Eagles just say, yeah, we're going to run the ball, stop it, and see what happens. Because I think DeAndre Swift not only is going to be in for a big night, he has to be in for a big night.
I want Pat, Bob, both. Write down a couple of bets putting on your betting app of choice tonight. Because I have a few that I want to run by you. So just some of them down. Like a bet that may interest you, a player prop, a team prop, something like that. And if you want to join us, you can at 610-632-0975. Again, rematch, preview. I'm thinking more preview. But I'll tell you this, because the idea is nothing tonight's going to win back what was taken from us in February. John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. You want to kickstart your holiday shopping? You should, because Black Friday is this Friday. But what if I told you didn't have to wait? At Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa, you don't have to wait. It's buy one, get one Black Friday gift cards. You purchase a gift card at any of their 60, yes, 60 Philadelphia area Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa locations at guest 97.5 The Fanatic, and it is game day finally. Game day that begins, Bob and Pat on your airwaves, and you'll have them later tonight too, from the Trap Tavern for pregame after the best show ever.
Yeah, 6 to 8. We'll be on tonight. Me, Pat, and Andrew, Trap Tavern. Check it out. It's right near Collegeville, right near Sinus.
Very near there.
Yeah, so good time. Really cool place. So come on out. Corona's going to be flowing.
I got great news for you, too, Bobby, is I believe the roads will be empty tonight.
You think?
Absolutely dead empty.
Well, we're flying out, right, Pat?
If you wanted to just, Pat's got an easy trip home. Should be simple.
I have an easier trip compared to Bob and Andrew, for sure.
Right, exactly.
But
this is like when we went to the really fancy PJs over in Jersey, Medford Lakes. I mean, it's like it's like pack a lunch. You know, the listening area is very large.
Yeah, my flight for that
Fanatic.
PJs was around 12:45, but we didn't take off until 2.
Oh, really? I told you, just fly my boys.
Yeah,
I know. Fly a velo. We have game tonight though, and there is one thing I will say, and again I'll put it in ink, and I'll say it for you again. If the Eagles win tonight, the NFC is over. It's finished. Done. Finished. There's nobody going to catch them in the NFC. And even though you'd only still be just a little bit ahead of the Lions, and it could work, but give me a break. Like it's over tonight. I think the ride of momentum that this team would feel if they took care of business tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs would be amazing. And to me, last year, I think they benefited from the fact that they shut down the NFC race early. And the fact is, when Jalen got injured in the Bears game, they knew they had those 3-foot putts at the end of the year where they could give them a little bit of a rest. They had the Saints, they had the Giants, they had to take care of, but they knew that they had some time to get them some rest. It could be important again, Bob, because you're saying like the bye week, it helps both teams, but it really are extra healthy. I want that at the end of the year. I would want at least the last 2 games to potentially be, they can just take care of business here against the Cardinals and the Giants.
Yeah, if the Eagles have a really good showing tonight, what are we going to attribute it to? Probably being healthy, going back to the bye, having that week off, being able to do all that. That's what we'll attribute it to, probably mostly. And, yeah, if you can get a couple of those weeks. And don't forget, if you get the number 1 seed, you also have another week bye. So it could be if the last game or 2 don't matter, good or bad, you could be talking about 3 weeks to a month of not having to gear up to play your best football or play your best players.
And not traveling.
Yeah.
Because you don't fly after December 17th. You fly home on a red eye after that game. You fly home. You'll be home by probably 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning maybe. That's it. You're done. And that'll help you, that'll help you too, that you're home. Pat, the one thing I would say, though, is everyone's like, Andy Reid off a bye, Andy Reid off a bye. No one loves Andy Reid any more than I do as a coach. I absolutely am an Andy fanatic. But I saw Andy Reid lose a lot of playoff games where he was favored. So, I mean, it's not like Andy Reid can't lose a game or can't win a game where he's heavily favored or where people think, oh, well, it's Andy off a bye. He's going to take care of business.
Well, I mean, the numbers do say he's really, really good off a bye. Nick Sirianni.
What do you think that is, though?
I have no idea. I don't know. I couldn't tell you because, it's weird. I mean, we've seen Andy coming off of, rest before and struggle in big moments. I couldn't tell you. But this game is different because I feel like most of the times, if you probably look at the opponents coming out of a bye, his record might be skewed because you're not playing a team as good as the Eagles.
Or a team coming off a bye, too.
Yeah, like sometimes he's coming off a bye and Andy's playing, the Houston Texans. Where it's not a favorite to go to the Super Bowl, and maybe that's one of the reasons why.
So
if you take it and you throw that out, okay. But do I personally feel comfortable giving Andy Reid 15 days to prepare? No.
I got to tell you, it's funny. I like his answer the best, Andy Reid's. He's 31-6 after buys, including playoffs. That's a phenomenal record.
Amazing.
He was asked about it. He goes, I've been lucky to have some pretty good teams. I mean,
That's a great answer.
It is. I mean, it's a good answer. You have a good team, and in some cases, great teams
Deflect
in
the
many
praise.
cases. And he says, after a week of rest, why wouldn't a good/great team win football games?
Do you think
That makes sense.
Do you think Andy is a much better coach in Kansas City than he was here? Numbers say he is.
Yes, but it's because I think the pressure is big time off of him in KC.
Well, when you win a couple Super Bowls, right?
No, I thought the pressure was off him from the jump.
Oh, you mean from the jump? Okay.
As soon as he got to KC,
lack of press.
Yeah, he talked about it. He gets to whatever that the coaches symposium is when they all get together and Andy's wearing his Hawaiian shirt. He goes there and he's at the KC table and there's 3 people, and then meanwhile, Chip Kelly's got 50. It's just like the Eagles media grinds you down to a certain extent, whereas KC, it's like, oh, if I dealt with 13 years of the Philly press, this might be a little easier. All of a sudden, it's just pressure's off you a little bit. And he didn't necessarily have the most amazing success early on in KC because he trades the second-round pick for Alex Smith, who, was a slightly better version of Sam Bradford, maybe.
Got to the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. But, Alex Smith was Kirk Cousins. You were never scared of Alex Smith. And then it wasn't until you got Patrick Mahomes that he became oh, crap.
And he's the guy who went and got him.
But I do think that, the pressure being off of him has led to him having a lot of success. But to what Bob just talked about, he's also had really good players. You take Travis Kelce in the 3rd round, you take Pat Mahomes in the 1st, you hit on those guys. It helps you out a little bit.
It's a Football Monday on The Fanatic, and that's a great thing. It's presented by Pierce Phelps. Bryant, heating and air conditioning contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. So as we begin the 7 o'clock hour, remember Super Bowl 52. Now, Bob watched Super Bowl 57 yesterday. I have still not watched that in its entirety, and I can't believe it, considering I just spent 7 months on the couch. But I have not, out of the pain factor. I've watched the shortened game of it, and I've watched parts of it. But remember settling for a field goal in Super Bowl 57 when you had the lead? Remember, all of a sudden, Doug Peterson in Super Bowl 52 was like Cousin Eddie at the casinos in Vegas. I want to see tonight that Nick Sirianni channels his inner Doug Peterson, because I think most of the time, Nick Sirianni lives that life. He lives that life on the edge. He's aggressive. He goes for it. He is an ambitious coach that doesn't want to sit back and just, play it safe. I get impressed by him more and more all the time. That's what I want to see tonight, Bob. That not riverboat gambler where you're taking stupid shots, but going back to Super Bowl 52, Doug that night said, I can't leave anything on the table. We got to go for it. And I'm hoping tonight Nick Sirianni does the same.
Well, there's nothing that lends you to believe he won't. That's who he is. That's what he does. It doesn't matter the game.
Last year, he turtled a little going for that field goal.
I just watched it. And I don't even remember the case and circumstance. What was it? Fourth and...
It was fourth and... Gosh, Pat, do you remember the context of that last of the field goal that they took when they were tied?
I don't.
I said
I'm like with you. I
have not watched the game
again.
But I remember bitching about that to the point that it was ad nauseum. That was the thing. I'm going to pull up the play-by-play. It's, to me, I want to see an ultra-aggressive game plan tonight out of him. Not stupid, again, and I don't think Nick Sirianni is stupid. So I don't think he'd ever do something like that. But I want to see that this team is being extremely aggressive, that they're not letting in any way, sort of. They went for the field goal, Bob, with a 60-yard drive, 17 plays. Remember, it was that long drive that they held the ball from Kansas City for 8 minutes after Kansas City had scored? And when they went for it, it was 4th and 6th at the Kansas City 15. And they
see there, I don't mind that.
So you want the field goal there?
4th and 6? Yeah, in a game like that, you need points. Take the points. Don't. You talk about not being stupid or over. To me, 4th and 6. Yeah, that's stupid going for it there.
They had converted on the drive. They had converted a 3rd and 9. They had converted a 3rd and 14. They had converted a 2nd and 6, a 4th and 1, a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 6. So they had already, on that drive, they had converted things that were either similar or even more difficult.
Yeah, 4th and 6, though, that's out of my comfort zone.
By the way, that's points later in the game, too.
Yeah.
So that may play
I don't
into
mind that call at all.
That may play into yours, too. That is, it's in the second half, but they start with 9:30 to go on the clock, and they bleed almost the entire third quarter off.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything tonight. Like, what could Nick Sirianni do that you wouldn't deem aggressive? Like, that's just who he is. He's not. I don't think he's going to change.
Well, I don't think you can settle for field goals with Kansas City.
Well, yeah, but like you said, you can't be stupid either. You got to take points. You. So there's going to be times. I don't say 4th and 6 that you're at their 35, you got to go for it.
It's their 15.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like tonight, if it's that way.
Okay.
I like 3 points. I like points up on the board. I think you have to be smart about it. I don't think you can give Patrick Mahomes a shorter field, if that is the circumstance. I think he'll be aggressive. Every game we come out of, we say Nick Sirianni is aggressive. Every game. So I don't think that'll change tonight. Will there be spots that you might question whether he should have done this or that? Probably. But if my gut reaction is that's smart, I'm okay with it.
It's a bigger issue if he does kind of change, I feel like.
Well,
yeah,
Michael,
exactly.
But the thing is that Brian Johnson could change that. Brian Johnson, Pat, we well know is that this is a different play caller in this game tonight. And this is a guy who the speed of the game bothers him. It's the only explanation I can come up with is that the speed of the game has troubled him.
Something, yeah.
Tonight, you need to have a guy who is on fire calling plays. Shane Steichen had a great game. And by the way, he's doing a great job with the Colts. He's off to a really nice start with the Colts. But you need a play caller tonight that is firing. And I hope Nick Sirianni has sort of dictated what the game plan is going to be more past the scripted plays. And that's the idea, is that
maybe they should just script out the entire game. Maybe that's the problem.
Can you do that, I wonder?
I mean, you could try.
I would imagine you could do. Why couldn't you make a script of plays and say, second quarter, we get our own 35. Here's a script. Third quarter, they'll never do that.
No, because after the first drive, the team adjusts, and you got to deal with.
Sure.
But the Brian Johnson thing is interesting. Both him and Desai, how they handled their first bye week will be intriguing. Will we see any improvement in the red zone? I mean, that first red zone drive is going to be very, very telling. I feel like if we see another red zone drive, and even if it works, but if we see another red zone drive where it's hand the ball off to Kenny Gainwell,
you're going to yell. You're going to yell.
Hand the ball off to Kenny Gainwell. I don't care if Kenny Gainwell scores. I'm going to be sitting there going, well, he didn't change anything. I mean, he went to Cabo for 15 days. But if we actually see like new wrinkles, and he has shown new wrinkles throughout this season where I've gone, oh, like that's a really, really good play. The fake tush push that he had.
I love that play. It was a great play.
He hit another play the week before that was in the red zone that was a really nice play to Goddard. But, I need to see like an improvement from this guy and show me that he was actually in the facility just trying new things out, because the red zone offense has become a sticking point with me.
How would you know that, Bob? Like how do you think we'll know whether, do you think we'll see new wrinkles tonight?
I expect to.
Okay.
I want to. Yeah, I want to see stuff that we say, oh, we haven't seen that a lot this year. It doesn't have to be gimmicky plays, but just maybe it's 3 runs in a row. Maybe it's a pitch out that works, and you do it again, and you do it again. Maybe it's Jalen Hurts under center and handing the ball off and seeing how that works. Just, it might be slight things, but yeah, you had to use this off week to look to better yourself. And when you better yourself, do you want to make the plays that you run normally executed better? Yes. But there also has to be some wrinkles in my book. And you know what? Defensively also. Watching that game last night again, or Saturday night rather, the amount of stunts that you saw from the defensive line in that game, although they didn't get to the quarterback, it was amazing. You saw Hassan Reddick coming up the middle. You saw, guys from the middle going to the outside. It was just different things. Now, they didn't get to the quarterback, and you saw slippage all over the place. But I just don't see that a lot this year.
You want to see slippage tonight? It's going to rain monsoon all day.
In Kansas City?
Yes.
Is it?
It's raining all day. The rain isn't expected to stop till halftime. Now, the field is covered. So, in that regard, they have heaters. They always have those underground heating systems and everything and drainage systems. But it could be a slippery field tonight. No Eagles fan, shush about field, turf. If we had turf, everybody's got to prepare. Whoever's checking the cleats, get good cleats. Figure out what you need to do pregame tonight and make sure you got it covered. Victor in San Diego is up early with us. Victor, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, man. Hey, I always get up at this time before I go to work.
We love that.
You guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, listen, I'm going to say this, not fucking like I'm angry or anything like that, but with me, I called you guys earlier before the year. The one worry that I had was the coordinators, and it came to fact that we haven't been consistent for the exception of the Miami game. Starting today, man, all I'm going to say is this. 5 weeks, no more excuses. I don't want to hear crap. It's time. Let it all hang out. Don't hide anything. I don't want to see stupid play calling. I don't want to see our defensive coordinator put our players in bad position for the exception of the Miami game. You got to go out there tonight and you got to play Eagles football, and that's all it is to it, fellas.
What is Eagles football? What? Because it's weird because Bob's talked about what he sees as the potential game plan. What about you?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm kind of like game by game the way, like, whatever's working, man. But, when we had Swift had get 175 yards, and where he has been the last 6 weeks or so, man. Like, seriously, it's not – it also comes down to adjustments. That's what you guys have been saying for a long time. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to see stupid play calling. I don't want to see anything, man. Just let it all hang out. Let's play Eagles football like whatever's working. If the run is working and we're beating them that way, let's do it. And that's all it is to it, brother.
All right, buddy.
It's up to the coordinators.
Thank you, man.
So,
what is Eagles football to you, Bob? When you think
Eagles
of this team,
football?
What is Eagles football?
It's all Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I mean
that's sort of where I lean to.
That's what it comes down to. But what he said is, Victor.
Great job, Victor.
Yeah, I it's my favorite thing to watch in the game, no matter the sport, is adjustments by coaches.
Really?
Oh God, I love that. I love if you come out and for some reason you're not throwing the ball well, and then you run it well, you stick to the run. It sounds simple. I love that when you can work the ball inside in basketball and you continuously do it and decide that that's our advantage wherever it may be. I do. I love that from a coach to find what's working well, best for you in a game, and sticking to it. I think it's something that's not done enough. I talk about it all the time of coaches coming in and are you trying to implement a system with a group of players that aren't suited for that system? I think it's incumbent upon, like Victor was saying, the coordinators tonight, find what works and make sure you stick to it.
Why do you think it's not done enough? Because doesn't it seem logical that that's what you would do?
Well, it's all about, and
people trying to be too smart?
Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody's always trying to reinvent things, and everybody's always trying to think that there's another way of doing things. The simplicity of it isn't. You can't go back to Vince Lombardi and say,
right.
We run 6 plays, but if we execute them, they're going to work, and that's all that matters. No, it's not that simple anymore. But at the same time, the simplicity of sports is just that. You find your advantage, you stick to it, and you exploit the other team's weakness. And I just how many times have we come away from a game, John, saying, man, whether it be the running game, they were running it really well. Why did they stop?
Why did they abandon it?
Or, man, they threw the ball to the running back 3 times and it worked really well. Why didn't they do it more? Sometimes it might be that simple.
By the way, the Eagles in the Super Bowl, a 407 touchdown drive, a 451 touchdown drive, a 719 touchdown drive, a 232 touchdown drive. That 719, they had their longest drive, 7:45 ended in the field goal. And so they bled clock in the Super Bowl. And I hope it tonight. I hope we see a lot of ball, keeping the ball away from Patrick Mahomes. Keep it away, because that to me is always one of those things that if you're trying to win, I think that's incredibly important.
Well, there's nothing more aggravating, and a bad stat for tonight is that on 3rd down, Kansas City's offense is really, really good. One of the best in the league.
Really good.
On 3rd down, the Eagles' defense is not very good and one of the worst in the league. So there's a remedy of frustration right there that if you can't get Kansas City off the field in third down and it continues to grow and grow as the night goes on, that's like 1,000 daggers.
7 a.m. hour brought to you by the all-new BetParks app. Sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I'm going to be burning that thing up today. Check out the BetParks app. Live in-game wagering is the way to go. We got a surprise for you. You want to hear about the Aaron Nola deal? Ricky Bo is in the house. He's going to come in studio and hang out with us, and we'll have plenty more coming your way on the Eagles and the Chiefs. It's game day. Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds joins us in studio at 8 o'clock. It's the John Kincade Show here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I don't want you to deal with Bull.
21 plus and present in Pennsylvania, must not have previously placed any wager on FanDuel Sportsbook, FanDuel Casino, Betfair Casino, Mohegan Sun Casino, or Stardust Casino. Refund issued as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Thanks for hanging out with us. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. Ricky Patalico joining us in studio, and some smart listeners checking in. G-Bass said he did a deep dive on this last week out of boredom, Pat, that of the 24 regular season teams that Andy has faced coming off a bye, only 9 made the playoffs that year. So it plays to your point that you were talking about. You never know who you're playing off a bye. That number could be ridiculous. Only 9 have made the playoffs. G-Bass is really good.
Yeah, he's a lot better than Seabass. G-Bass coming up clutch there. Appreciate him listening and
Only
and contributing.
37.5% make the playoffs.
Yeah, because how many times is Andy Reid facing this good of a team
Correct.
coming out? You know, I mean, that definitely helps.
I love that one. And then, so that's a really good number there. And it is a number where I love the positivity of Ricky Patalico. We'll get into this on the Eagles-Chiefs matchup. But Ricky shows up. He was supposed to be on the phone. He shows up because he wanted to hang out with us. It's your last day before the holiday.
It is my last day before the holiday.
Oh, good for you.
Look at Bob's face smile. He's
Man,
like,
I was up early. I didn't really sleep last night. I had one of those days where I was out watching the marathon, the people
did you go out?
running and
How was
stuff
it?
like that. It was all right. I mean, it's people running.
People running.
I don't know.
You see him for a second.
Why were
then
you
don't.
out?
Because I wanted to be part of it. Is that all right?
That's it. No, it's interesting. No, you.
After?
Aligned with bars there. So, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of the runners, like my cousin ran the Philly
Some
Marathon,
guy- it
and we
was-
met for a beer, and there was tons of runners in there having a beer.
funny you said that.
You run 13 or 26 miles, and then you're drinking beer?
Well, this was about
Sure.
the 20-something mile mark.
Oh, my
So they
gosh.
only
Is
had
that
a
where
couple
you were?
miles left. But, I mean, yeah, there were a couple guys chugging down some beers, running in the race.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that to me is
that's nuts.
you're epic at that point. So we'll also have our spring training winner coming up for our trip to spring training, and I will just tell you this: one little hint: if you qualified with Andrew Salchunas, you could be our winner. So I've just tipped off the people who qualified. If you qualified on Andrew's show, you may be the winner.
Why, how do you know this, or why?
Because
would
I
you
already
say
know
that?
this because I know who the winner is, and I know who they qualified with. They told me who they qualified with. So,
I'm a little concerned over here.
what are you concerned about?
I walk in here and the first thing I see is a huge thing of
That's
moisture.
Bob.
Ah,
Bob
yeah.
always does that.
Where are you
Every
putting
morning.
this?
He puts
Face,
the lotion
hands,
on the.
arms.
He puts it in the basket. Then he-
The lotion in the basket.
Lotion up every morning.
That's,
Got to.
that's why Bob
Got
looks
the
so
Irish
good.
skin.
He's got it.
You know, you got to keep it fresh.
All right.
So, are you driving to Connecticut today?
Yeah, probably later on after our show. So
Nice.
not
It's
bad.
let me put it this
It's a
way.
good night to
It's-
travel. It's
it-
going to be dry.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain tomorrow, and then I don't need that.
No
I don't
monsoon
need-
tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting back there then. Not driving in a monsoon.
Aaron Nola
Yeah.
is back.
Yep.
I'm glad he's back. I wanted him back. The AVR looks good.
Yep.
Your thoughts?
I thought it was low. I thought that price was low, but the extra here's where I think that came in. Number one, Aaron Nola wanted to stay a Philadelphia Philly. There's absolutely no doubt about that because these deals do not get done before Thanksgiving. I think he had a date of Thanksgiving where he was going to make that signing before that, one way or the other. And I mean, maybe we are underestimating the rest of the teams out there that are out in the fishing pond. Or did they all go fishing in the Asian pond?
They could be.
They're
They
fishing.
could be.
like the
Pat's,
koi
that's
pond?
where Pat
Yeah,
Pat wants
definitely
to
the
fish
koi
there.
pond.
Pat wants
Yeah.
to fish in the Yamamoto.
I think most of them are doing that.
well, but
Snell is not. Think about Snell. 5 innings. You want the 5 inning guy?
I don't.
No, I didn't.
I didn't
either.
want him at all.
And I was
so-
actually kind of happy when I heard that the Phillies were not even interested.
Well, I mean that they didn't make any. They made an initial inquiry. I think they said.
You're gonna do that.
And that's what Bob was saying. Talk to everybody this morning, right, Bob? You talk to everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Just find out what's out
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah, the Snell thing, I wouldn't have minded that. I did the numbers. I did number crunching. It turned out to be like one more outing that Nola gets you as opposed to Snell.
It's
like
just
on
an out.
average. It's weird. Like, there's numbers is phenomenal.
Yeah, but you're
in
talking
baseball,
about 33 starts.
Yeah.
It's a
I
lot
know.
of,
It's
turns into a lot
weird.
of numbers.
Yeah.
But the number, and I wrote down 775 or 5,145.
He said on Friday's show, he said 7,175.
Yeah, and I had written it down and said it first like 2 weeks ago. I didn't think he was going to get that 200 million stuff.
I thought he would get the Rodon. Carlos Rodon. He get it though. Oh yeah, but that
plays into it.
I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Was that wall finally put up that we're not going over an X amount now? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You mean
like X
collectively,
amount, unless
or
you're the
psyche,
greatest of the
or
greatest.
a psyche in baseball.
No, I think like not. I guess collectively by owners.
Okay,
that we can't go any higher anymore.
Let's all
There's
get in
too
this
many
together.
people making $20+ million in this game.
Way too many.
Way too many.
Way too many. And you've seen them not live up to that potential.
Oh,
but
a
the
lot of
thing
them,
is,
though.
as Pat always points out, I think it's great because Pat's been the one that swayed me over to this thinking as long as we've worked together. Stop worrying about the back end of a contract. Because the back end of the contract will end up being a bargain, and they'll move on.
I got to tell you something. First thing I heard about Nola's contract, okay, they might eat a year or two at the end of it, but who cares? You want him for those first 5. That's really what you're looking for because you're going to get Abel in there. You're going to get Painter in there. You're going to mix them in there like a nice flat-based paint we'll have
and
in there.
then they're going to be cheap.
Just paint it right in the starting rotation.
Yeah, maybe
they're
going
to be cheap for a little while.
Well, no, they'll be cheap for. I mean, they're going to be on their team
They'll be
control
cheap
for
for
7
5 years,
But
right?
Aaron
4
Nola,
years.
that's relatively
I think it's cheap.
I mean, he's a number 1 or 2 in his league. Number 1 for a bunch of teams and number 2 on the Phillies.
I didn't mind it at all, and it's kind of exactly what I expected.
I did too.
I was on the Nola thing that I'm looking at what else is out there, and I'm like, do you really want to? The only one I could have really kind of pushed myself into doing was a Sonny Gray for 3 years, and that was it.
Well, no, I would. Yeah, exactly. If Sonny Gray and they're saying he wants 5 or 6.
Well, because I would have tried to.
I don't want Sonny Gray for that for nothing.
Well, if I would have done that, I wonder if Wheeler's going to be pissed.
What do you mean pissed?
Because he's going to want an extension, and he's going to want more.
Okay, he's going to get more.
Think he gets 25, 26?
Yeah, I think he gets like 26, 27. But I think maybe he gets it.
But it's going to be very short.
Front loaded, and then I would think that it's like a 3 or 4 year
Short term.
3 or 4 year extension.
Yeah,
he may not accept that though. Wheeler may not accept a 3 or 4 year extension.
He's 34.
Yeah, you think he would?
I think that's
I think
he's
he
gotta
would.
have that.
You think
in his
he
head.
would?
I think these guys, these 26 guys on this team, think they could win together.
What if that gets done?
I don't understand the cave thing. I don't understand the what's his name, the catcher there, Stubbs thing. I don't get it.
I don't understand the Stubbs thing at all. You're just saying we're willing to have a very mediocre guy who cannot carry enough of a load.
Good cheerleader though. That's what
isn't that great? He's our version of Arcia. He does exactly the same stupid crap that Arcia did.
Yeah, that was
It's
a bad
Yay,
move on his
cheerleader. I don't need a mascot.
I think
I need a backup
I'm
catcher.
wondering if this year it's going to be more business. I know the game's fun. I know they like to have fun, but is this the year where you're like, you know what, guys? All right, let's stop being kids and let's win this thing.
You said Jake Cave, and I saw Pat's head. Pat, your head fell where I couldn't even see you sitting in there.
You get to see more Jake Cave.
Oh, he hates
no.
it.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna.
No.
Ricky, you're threatening
I
it
have
now.
not enjoyed the offseason so far. I've got Jake Cave
I
back.
don't either. Stubbs, Jake Cave?
What can I ask? Does anybody know if there was a stipulation in those contracts where if they don't make the team, they don't get the contract?
I have no idea.
Or did they just pay them straight up?
Because I got to be kidding. You're kidding me? You can't find better than Jared Stubbs?
Probably not.
I don't believe
there's
it. I
gotta be
do not believe it.
Yeah, I
do
know.
not believe it.
There's going to be somebody else in spring training. But do they lose? I mean, if they signed them to a contract, the major league contract, that's guaranteed.
I would imagine it's a guaranteed contract.
So moving forward, do you think they're done? Like, what more? You think there's going to be any big moves?
From what I understand, it sounds like bits and pieces now. I don't, unless something falls in their lap. I mean, but I got to ask you guys, do you want to go in with the same team?
No, not after the last 2 years and how that team has collapsed under pressure on the biggest spots.
But I will say this: as a player,
I want a left
you
fielder.
do. I could see that. as a player, you kind of do want to go in with that same team. You feel like you have something to prove. I know you're rolling your eyes. I get it.
They
but
did
I'm telling
less
you,
this
as
year.
a players thought that they'd be pretty happy. But you're talking about now 3 years in a row, you're going to have to climb to that pedestal again.
Yeah.
Not easy to do.
And you couldn't climb to it this year.
Well, you got there. You just
You got to
couldn't get
3
over the
games
hump.
to 2 with two home games.
I know. It makes me sick.
And you pooped yourself.
Say that to Ty. Ask Tyrone how Trey Turner did in that series.
Terrible. Wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute, though. You got to get on 0 for 27 Castellanos.
Oh, trust
which
me,
is
we're
one
on
of
everybody.
which is one of the you guys are in the best show ever in the afternoons. One of the 10 worst playoff performances ever streaks.
0 for
27
and 3 for 36 in the last 2 games.
Now he had 3 great games
I'm talking
against the
about the
Braves.
big money. It doesn't matter.
Castellanos.
You got to keep going with that. You really do. I think one thing that's good about Castellanos is that he's probably in Miami, chilling out and just relaxing. I mean, that's
Why is that good?
Because it's probably a good thing to be away
Why
from
is it
here.
bad?
Because it's going to be. Is that making him better?
He'll get
By the way, the move to add a new assistant hitting coach, a guy who is an expert in understanding the strike zone, I really applaud because I'm constantly hearing about Kevin Long's he's the whisperer of hitting.
Kevin Long's a swing it and ding
They
it.
have one of the worst approaches at the plate of any team in baseball.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't what bring on somebody who can teach them.
Well, you got to bring in players that are disciplined. Bryce Harper, he's disciplined at times.
He wasn't in the NLCS.
I was just going to say, there are times where he goes off the rail, too, and he'll swing at everything. But, I mean, you're not going to find a lot of guys like that. You're not going to find a lot of guys like Schwarber. I know Schwarber doesn't hit for average, but he does hit 93 home runs in the last 2 years. I mean, he's pretty disciplined at the plate. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Tell me what you said to me when I asked you, what is your thought tonight on the Eagles and the Chiefs?
I'm not scared of this.
But you
I'm
said
not-
something very decisive.
I'm trying. I think they win. I
Comfortably.
I think they win comfortably. Yes, I know the Chiefs' defense has gotten better, but the Eagles have faced good defenses this year. They may look a little sluggish, but they're still putting up points. You understand what I'm saying?
I absolutely
don't
understand.
know if the Chiefs' offense could put up that many points.
That's what I said to you this morning, Bob. The idea
Their receivers are not what they were,
No, their receivers
and they got
are
lazy.
suspect.
They got butterfingers. They really
they
do.
had a few of those.
They got at least 2 of those guys.
with
Kansas
impact.
City hasn't scored a touchdown in the second half in the last 2 games.
They scored
Like, that's
21 in the
crazy.
first half of their last game and didn't
Miami.
score in the second half.
Yeah.
One of them was a defensive scorer also.
But still, you're
No,
scoring.
I got you.
21
But I
points.
mean, but the offense is not what it was last year.
Right.
But is the Eagles' defense what it was last year?
Probably not.
Because it's not.
Okay. Contain.
Right.
No, I'm talking about Kelsey.
Oh, okay.
Contain him. He's going to get his yardage, but you have to find a way to keep it to minimal yards after catch.
Kevin Byard, one of his toughest persons he's ever gone up against statistically.
Okay.
Which is great.
That's even better.
Which is great. He's got 1 touchdown in 5 games, and his production is way down when he plays Byard.
Well, the D-backs have to play together more. And I'm talking all of them. The
You're
whole
gonna have
secondary.
another
I'm not just
starting
talking the
lineup tonight
D-backs.
back
I'm
there.
talking about the safeties. But, yeah, at some point they have to play together for a long period of time, or else you're going to be running into spots where you shouldn't be going. That's always happens.
Yeah.
When guys don't play together because they don't know what the other guy's going to do. It's that simple.
You're gonna have Roby in the slot tonight, probably definitely for the first time since Byard has become a starting safety. So it's a whole different.
I was going to
scheme
say
again.
they had 2 weeks to work on that, but they don't actually.
No,
they
have a
only
lot of
practice
time
the
off.
one
Right.
week.
Yeah.
So
they give him the time off, give him the time away. I said this morning.
and it seems like Jalen's ready to go too, which is
Right.
to me that probably was the biggest thing.
no brace.
No brace. When you come back and there's no brace,
Okay, here's
feeling pretty good about yourself.
You and Bob can help with this better. Why are you wearing a brace for a bone bruise? It doesn't make, and I even researched online, bone bruises usually don't require braces. Why would he be wearing a brace for a bone bruise, which is a bruise of just a bruise of
Maybe
a bone?
because if something else is already weakened in that knee,
And that's what I'm wondering.
that something else could happen if he gets hit awkwardly.
It provides stability. When Ricky, you know this better than anybody. When you have an injury in one place, what do? You overcompensate in another place.
That's why I hurt my shoulder.
Right. So
you said that.
Yeah. Should he have that bone bruise and they notice a little difference in the way he's running, the way he's stepping back, whatever, you put a brace on there to stabilize it. There may be some padding in there too.
You know me, I'm always looking for the Scooby-Doo.
It didn't look like padding, though.
It did. And
It looked like a
the-
big,
It looked like a
awkward
big,
brace
awkward
with
brace.
the hole in
Yeah.
the kneecap. Yeah.
It was weird because I went, why?
I thought
why
that
are they,
too, but
why
it's
are they
usually
putting
for
a
the
brace on a bone bruise?
It's usually for the stability of the rest of the knee.
Well-
it's overcompensating elsewhere.
Can this team win a Super Bowl if Jalen doesn't get back to running the ball like he did last year, or at least the threat of him running the ball like he did last year? I think we will see tonight. By the way, I'll go. If I gave you 5.5 design runs,
I'd say over.
I say over also. Bobby?
I think the game will dictate. I think it's at that point. Like, you'll look to do it, but if you don't need to, you won't.
Pat, where are you on this?
I will go over.
You see, I feel the same way. I think this is going to be like a coming out of Jalen Hurts looking like last year.
You know what's been very bothersome to me is like I feel like this is a really good football team, and people aren't giving them credit for being a real good football team. Anywhere. Go ahead, take a look around.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that there's a lot of questioning.
We
going
sit
on.
there on our show, and we're like, where are the Eagles fans?
It's funny. The way we describe it is the headline of everything Eagles is 8-1.
Yeah.
It has to be, it should be, it is. And then the sub stories are, but. They're 8-1, yeah, but the offense hasn't looked the same. Yeah, but the defensive secondary hasn't been the same. Yeah, but. So the acknowledgement is, you're right, it's kind of overlooked. We know that's the headline of everything, but yet the stories are spewing not towards the positive.
I
More
feel
so
like
than not.
I feel like there's always a fear. There's a fear of the Dallas Cowboys every time.
I think there should
Dallas
be.
Cowboys could be the worst team ever stepped on the field, and Eagles fans, there would be a fear of the Dallas Cowboys.
I think there should be this
The
year.
49ers, same thing. Oh, they're fans.
I
You know
can't
what?
wait
The
to
heck
see
with
that.
their fans, though. I mean, the heck with it. It means nothing about the game.
I can't wait to see.
And the game's here again.
I can't wait to see the 49er game. I'm very excited. As long as my blood's
And then the
good, I'm
Chiefs.
going.
And then
I
the
can't
Chiefs.
wait.
So,
Oh,
I mean, those three teams are always on the minds of Philadelphia Eagles fans.
yeah, well, the Chiefs is just because they are the gold
Because
standard.
they're good.
And they're the gold standard right now.
It's a good look. If they go into Kansas City, they lose this game 28-27. I'm not going to be like, oh, end of the world.
That's what I said to Bob the other day.
It is what
doesn't-
it is. You are playing a road game in the NFL against a very good team.
Here's what I don't want to see. I want to see a turnover-free game.
It's going to be raining.
I know it is raining, and it's going to be raining in the first half. I want to see a turnover-free game. I want to see Bradbury showing me that he's worthy of the contract they signed him to.
Struggling.
Because he's been terrible. No, in some games he's been terrible.
Yeah, he's been
Like
bad.
bottom 20% of the NFL, some games. That's that's unacceptable.
How much of a revamp is going to happen back there after this season?
Well, I don't know how you have two more
Defensive
years.
secondary.
You have 2 more years of him. You have 2 more years of
You're going to
Slay.
keep living with that?
No, you can't. I didn't like it in the beginning, though. I said it all along. I did not want 2 old corners. Like, I've never seen old corners.
Well, they
being
came out like gangbusters, though. Last year, they were fantastic.
They were, but I think to me, you're just.
I mean, Slay's good.
No, Slay's good, but he's not. I just don't. What are you going to get? It's sort of like the Aaron Nola contract.
Slay's one of the. We'll just steer away from him right now. You know.
Well, they're
If we catch him-
targeting Bradbury.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So
Who would you target?
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to do something.
They're going after him and making that move.
You all right, Bob?
Yeah, Pat was just reminding me of something.
That was reminding him of something.
I have to get.
He always loves to
I'd
do
like
that.
to remind Bobby when he's got a live read towards the back end of something. So
I was just looking up the weather. It doesn't look like it's going to stop raining in Kansas City.
Not at all during the game.
61%, 8 o'clock. 67%, 7 o'clock. So it's
That's a miserable night at a field.
Grass.
And there's
field also.
no coverage for the most part at Arrowhead.
No.
So you are. I've only been once, but it was an amazing experience. It was absolutely
The
outstanding.
first time I ever went there, I walked through I was playing for the Royals.
Oh, okay.
So we walked through the tunnel. We were getting yelled at.
Right, you're getting
Relax.
yelled at.
what year was
What
that?
do you think I'm going to do? Steal a blade of grass? Come on.
I mean, what year was it?
A long time ago. I don't know.
Pat was trying to get.
I was just curious if he was on that Royals team.
99, let's say.
Mike Sweeney,
I was with Sweeney. I was with
Sweeney. I
Jermaine
love Mike
Dye,
Sweeney.
Johnny Damon.
Jermaine Dye.
Carlos Beltran.
Yes.
Wow.
We had a really
Do you have
good young
trouble
team.
remembering teammates?
No,
as
remember
far as
we did that game.
no, he
No,
remembers
not
names.
necessarily.
It's got to be hard, I would think, because guys change, interact.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that were jerks, too, that you remember.
like that.
I've won 1,000,000 times because he really pissed me off.
Jimmy Gobble. Remember Jimmy Gobble? No, it might have been. He was a big
Absolutely not.
He was a big prospect for the Royals of just flanked out.
Jimmy Gobble.
Yeah,
He was not
Thanksgiving
my
week.
teammate.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. You
Thanksgiving
don't
week, you
forget the
pull
name
that.
Jimmy Gobble.
Jimmy Gobble.
Yeah, it's not good. Hey, Ricky, you will be on the best show ever today, though.
I will be.
So we're getting one more shift out of you
You get a shift out of me.
before you go, and you will be cooking Thanksgiving dinner.
I will be, well, not just myself.
You and your brother.
Me, my brother, and my brother's wife.
Okay.
For the most part.
What is your
my mom and dad will make like this. They probably already started the stuffing, the routine of it.
What is your go-to side that for Thanksgiving that you can just crush it, or appetizer?
I love stuffing.
I'm a
So do
stuffing
I.
dude.
I could sit there and just
Well,
I'll
what's your
just
stuffing
take a
thing?
plate of stuffing.
What's special about your stuffing? Like, tell
I
us
do
more.
a sausage. I make it. I do a sausage stuffing. Yeah, it's not a stuffing though. It's a
Ours is
Because
sausage.
I don't-
Casserole?
I don't put it in the bird. I cook it on the side.
So that's
We
dressing.
do both.
That's
So
dressing.
We do
right,
both.
dressing.
Like one
In
of
and
You do
out.
both?
stuff that
You
turkey.
go in and out of the turkey.
I go in and out. Yeah,
Yeah, I like my stuffing out. Yeah.
I like to baste it.
crispiness.
Too.
What else do
I like
you?
to baste
So give
it a
me,
little
give me.
bit,
What's
too.
the side? So it's stuffing for both of you.
Well, I eat every. I also love. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, that's too much." Sweet potatoes.
I do not. My brother likes them. I
I
think.
love them.
I do not
Kidding
like
me?
them.
I'm not a sweet potato.
Little sweet potatoes. I love mashed potatoes.
Mashed
So
potatoes are good.
It's a big carb.
As
day.
long as they're not
big
too,
carb day.
as long
coming
as they're
up.
not too soft.
What? You like the lumps?
Yeah, no, I like a stiffer
Oh, you don't. You like
mashed
You
potato.
like it stiff, do you?
stiffer
John?
mashed potato. Yes, give me
Is
the
that what they're
stiffer
calling it
one.
these days?
That's easy, guy.
They call them potatoes now.
Ricky Batalico will save some of this frivolity for this
Yeah, we
afternoon
will.
on the best show ever. Be sure to tune in every day from 2 to 6 p.m. Have a great Thanksgiving, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
And
You
I
too.
appreciate you coming in, buddy.
All right.
Hey, the Bet Parks app is one. We'll talk to Andrew DiCecco coming up in just a moment live in studio. He'll join us as we preview the Birds and the Chiefs. I got to tell you with the Bet Parks app, though, right now, you can bet on action as it happens. And that's one of the things that I love about it. Birds, 2.5-point road underdog.
Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
You know that Football Mondays on The Fanatic are brought to you by Pierce Phelps, Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit NoPayBryant.com. Get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. Now, usually, though, the twist is a Football Monday is usually not Monday Night Football. And we have got a game that, Bob, since you started the win-loss game in April, and I started doing my schedule geekdom, this was the one everybody was talking about. After the bye, at Kansas City, part of the gauntlet, this game with the Chiefs. So I thought it was good that we have our buddy from Inside the Birds making his first in-studio appearance, which is a thrill for us to be able to welcome in-studio Andrew DiCecco joins us this morning. It's not as big a thrill for you as it is for us, of course, to have you in there. So it's good. You got your mic on? You got to push that red button. We got to get you off to a good start. There you go.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. How are you?
John, Bob, I'm good. I'm glad to be with you guys. Excited for this game.
You are excited. We've been talking about it earlier. Bob was all chesty last Monday, and now he's making me you're pissing me off today a little bit, Bobby. Because last Monday you were very, very chesty. Eagles are winning this game. Eagles are winning this game. And Bob has a way of infiltrating your brain with stuff. When he brings logic to the table and good stuff, he can be a cult leader. And I absolutely was feeling good about the game, not as good as I felt about some other ones. You, on the other hand, how are you feeling this morning about the Eagles' chances in Kansas City?
Well, Andy Reid's obviously always tough coming off a bye week, but the Eagles, they may not say it publicly, but they have something to prove here. That they were the better team in the Super Bowl. Obviously, circumstances unfolded the way that they did, John, but they're the better team right now. Now it's just a matter of how it's going to play out because their Kansas City defense is vastly improved from last season.
You think they are the better team now? Like right now, playing the Eagles are the better team than the Kansas City Chiefs?
I honestly do, Bob.
Yeah.
I honestly
Why?
do.
How come?
Well, from the pass rush standpoint, but I also think that Jalen Hurts has sort of redefined his game as a pocket passer and added a new element, a new dimension to the offense, which he's playing at an elite level. Mahomes, obviously. A.J. Brown is playing at an MVP level right now, and the Kansas City Chiefs, outside of Travis Kelce, don't really have that game breaker that you need to really take the top off and put a team away like Philadelphia.
Pat, are you with Andrew? Do you think the Eagles are clearly the better team tonight? Because I think they're the best. I think they're the better team. I just don't know how far I'd be willing to put it on.
I'm not there, but I'm not watching the tape that he is. So
exactly.
I gotta watch other things as well. And
What
there's a
are
lot
you
of
watching?
stuff on Netflix.
You're watching Netflix and stuff like that.
Yeah,
While DiCecco's looking at offensive linemen, you're looking
he's in the lab, and I'm watching, Gen V.
Yeah, I'm watching guys like George Karlaftis and Mike Donna on the Chiefs defensive line and getting real nerdy with it.
I love the nerdy part of it. I just look at this. I look at the Eagles and say, tonight almost feels like gravy to me because it's an AFC game. And they are undefeated after the bye week. And they're undefeated at Thanksgiving. They'll be undefeated in the conference at Thanksgiving. And to me, that's a huge edge right now as far as I believe they are the best team in the conference. But now you got to prove it. And they already proved it a little bit on the gauntlet. Remember, Big Bad Miami was coming in. Ooh. And then the Cowboys. And I always tell you before the games, when we're at the games, I tell you if I'm feeling really good about it. Felt good about that Miami game big time. And the Cowboys game scares me because I'm one of those Cowboys people that gets a little nervous when you're playing Dallas. Are they the biggest threat? San Francisco the biggest threat? Who do you see today?
I still view the San Francisco 49ers as the biggest threat to the Philadelphia Eagles. Defensively, offensively, you see Brandon Ayuk. It's sort of a spin your wheel as far as the offensive playmakers that they have. Deebo Samuel could have a big week. George Kittle, we've seen him create a lot of hits.
He's come alive.
Yeah, and he's somebody that does not – he's a matchup nightmare for someone for a defense like the Eagles that really struggle to defend the tight end. And speaking of which – that's going to be a problematic element to today's game plan. I think that could be Kevin Byard or even James Bradbury. But, yeah, they have a plethora of playmakers that make it really difficult to defend.
Andrew, where do you see the big advantage that the Eagles might have over Kansas City tonight and one that they have to exploit in order to win this game?
Running the football. And I know that that's a topic that's got a lot of might raise some eyebrows here because the Eagles haven't been very proficient in that area. But DeAndre Swift, to me, he's 4 yards away from reaching a career high. And he's coming
That's
off.
wild.
It is. And he's coming off a bye week.
That's not total yards. That's rushing yards?
Rushing yards.
Okay, rushing yards.
And he's coming off a bye week. You know, he's the Eagles have to do a really nice job of keeping a healthy rotation to keep him fresh for the stretch run here. And Kansas City is vulnerable against the run. I believe they're allowing 112 yards, which is 17th. Yeah,
Double the Eagles.
Yeah, they're 17th in the league in rushing and allowing rushing yards. So I think that if the Eagles are going to move the ball on Kansas City, the best way to do it is going to be via the ground game. And I think that DeAndre Swift could get his third 100-yard rushing game this season.
Pat, you have a gripe about the ground game, and it keeps recurring over and over again.
Yep.
Take it up with Andrew. Pretend he's your therapist.
Yeah,
He
I
can help
don't
you
like
with
Kenny
this.
Gainwell. I'm
Talk
tired
to
of
me.
Kenny
Talk.
Gainwell. Tired of it. Every time we're in the red zone, I got to see Kenny Gainwell. He's Corral Buckhalter 2.0.
I like Corral Buckhalter was a good player.
So is Kenny Gainwell.
wait,
He's
wait.
fine. He's fine. He's not DeAndre Swift. Why do I have to see Kenny Gainwell in the red zone all of a sudden?
I could tell you that that's probably not going to change. The Eagles have a lot of
Goody.
They have a lot of trust in Kenny Gainwell. That fumble against the Commanders in the red zone was obviously very it could have been detrimental, and but flip on the radar. He didn't fumble the ball at all last season. He's situationally in 2 and 4 offenses, and that's not his role. Is going to continue to.
See, this is what bothers me, though. Fumbled twice now in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
One was recovered by Lane Johnson. The other one was recovered by the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that was Miles Sanders, like last year, his ass would be on the sideline.
And we'd be crushing him. I would be in here every day crushing him.
I just don't understand. I can understand having faith in a guy or whatever, but when that faith has been doused with 2 fumbles, don't you have to relook at what you're doing inside the 20?
Well, I think you do, but it also comes down to personnel, right? I mean, Boston Scott missed last week with personal reasons, so you're really limited in who you're able to deploy. Rashad Penny's been largely been a non-entity since he came over, and people have been clamoring for his arrival or awakening, so to speak. But Kenny Gainwell has largely been. I think that when you look at the sample size and his body of work, he's someone that Nick Sirianni has a lot of confidence and trust in. He's had a rough season. There's no denying that, but I do think that his role isn't going to alter in any regard.
It's the 8 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show as we get ready for the Eagles and the Chiefs. Pat and Bob and Andrew Salchunas will be part of the pregame show tonight, which will come from the Trap Tavern tonight. You don't want to miss it.
No,
Trap Tavern.
Come on out.
Great
Trap
time.
Tavern. We're going to have Coronas will be flowing tonight, John.
That is good. I mean,
Yes.
That's a good thing because tonight, it's going to be like a national holiday tonight. People are going to be very, very excited for this game. The numbers that the local TV is going to get for this game are going to be just absurd tonight. Andrew Gicheco is joining us in studio. And, Andrew, there's some people, and it's a couple of people going, who is this guy? I like him. So you got a couple good reviews already. I've known him for a while. I like him sort of too. But tell people, though, what you sort of try to specialize in at Inside the Birds and more of the whole operation. Because we obviously love I love the content as a talk show host, and I thank you very much for providing it on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and thank you for the kind words. But what I try to do, John, is I try to cover the team and different topics that aren't really being discussed, and I dive into a lot of film, and I try to do a lot of feature stories to really delve and take fans into the behind the scenes into their favorite team, and try to separate and differentiate myself from others that cover the team. And there's a lot of great writers that cover the team here in Philadelphia. And I approach it from a different perspective, and I try to really be creative in my approach in how I deliver my content and material. And it's nice to know that people enjoy it and appreciate the content.
Before I knew you, I was a addict to your draft stuff because I like the draft stuff. I love the draft so much, and because I like college football a lot. I probably spent 6 hours Saturday watching college football, and there was some bad Big Ten football. Gosh, terrible. But it's like you're all ready for the draft, too. You're getting ready for the draft.
Yeah, I mean,
you're doing a little bit of homework.
Yeah, I do a little bit of both, but right now, given the the Eagles season and the way things are going right now, most of my focus, admittedly, has been dedicated towards giving my everything into covering the team this season.
Okay, what is it about Nick Sirianni that has changed in the 3 years you've covered him?
Confidence. I think he's more.
Your confidence in him?
No, I think he's conveying more confidence, and in his play calling and his ability to trust in his players and his personnel, and let his coaches coach. He's hard on his coaches. That's another thing that really caught me. He coaches his coaches hard, and that's something that you really need, and that's something that Doug Peterson struggled with later in his career here in Philadelphia. So those elements that I've come front from looking at Nick Sirianni, that there was a buy-in almost immediately, and maybe the public didn't necessarily understand why, but there's a lot of things that he does behind the scenes and getting guys to he leads and getting guys to buy in.
As far as the coordinators go this season, who's had the better one in your mind?
It's a great question. I would say Sean Desai, given the challenges that have been presented to him. Had like 9 different nickel corners that they've auditioned through there. They struggled with safety. They've Justin Evans started the first 4 games, and then they've had Terrell Edmonds in there, and then they've had Sidney Brown in there, and they've had to rely on Eli Ricks in the nickel role as an undrafted free agent. And I would argue with anyone that I think he's done an admirable job. He's playing out of position, but that to me, and linebacker, right? Nakobe Dean. The Eagles have built their whole plans.
Is it a miss?
Well, I think it's too early to say that it's a miss, but you would certainly like to see a little bit more from a second-year, third-round pick, right? And he's someone that they built their whole plans around. Yeah. And to not have him and have to go to someone like a Nicholas Morrow, who has performed better than Nakobe, by the way, this season. They released Nicholas Morrow, right, at the end of the summer, and he was there for the taking. Anyone could have taken him. But here he is starting, and he's outperforming your former third-round pick. So there's something to be said for that.
Why, real quick, John, sorry, to build on that, why did they anoint Dean like that? I mean, there was nothing to see from last year, I don't think. You're there at practices, maybe he's doing more there, but the anointing of him saying, yeah, you're it, without much evidence in my book, why?
Right. They put a lot of eggs in the Nakobe Dean basket.
Yeah, right?
And I'm with you, Bob. I thought, what have they seen that I'm missing? And I've seen a lot on tape, a lot of good things on tape, but that was in college.
Yeah.
You have to prove it. And a lot of folks will look to, okay, he played 34 snaps last season, or he was in for X amount of snaps against the Titans, and he had a tackle on almost every play. Okay, that was such a small sample size. In training camp, he didn't really stand out. He didn't really stand out the training camp before that.
Was he deficient at training camp? Like, was he slipping behind some of these other guys in your eyes?
No, not really, because Nicholas Morrow was sort of someone that was an afterthought after signing in March, and he didn't really do anything to really claim or hold down, stake his claim to one of those positions either, John. Christian Ellis shined for a little bit, but he was never really in the equation to start. Cunningham came over late, remember?
Right, exactly.
Him and Miles Jack came over late, and I think Zach Cunningham's been probably one of the best additions that the Eagles have made, really underrated signing, and he's been their best linebacker, but nobody really stepped up and was the definitive, this is the guy that we're gonna build around. So that, to me, was one of the big storylines coming out of training camp.
I said last year, after watching these guys from high school, the Jordan Davis thing, when last year people were like, Jordan Davis is doing nothing. Jordan Davis is going to be just fine, and he's proven it. I can't say the same thing with Nakobe Dean. What my eyes show me, and the staying healthy, which when you're undersized is a big part of things. You have to be available, as Herm Edwards screamed into the TV, many, many times.
He has stayed healthy in college, but at the pro level, and last season for what it's worth, but he didn't really play much outside of special teams. But this season, to have those type of injuries when the whole infrastructure of the linebacking situation is built around you, solely around you, it's definitely one of those storylines that's going to carry into the offseason. Where do you go from there? He's going to have to earn his role next year.
I ask this all the time when Eagles games are coming up, so I'll ask you, Andrew. Who's the most important Eagle tonight? Take away Jalen Hurts, because he always most important Eagle against.
Normally, I would say Lane Johnson, because I think Lane Johnson is critical to the Eagles' success. But I'm going to say Jalen Carter. I think
interesting.
I right off the bat, watching the Kansas City offensive line, they've always surrendered 12 sacks, and normally that would be indicative of a quarterback who gets rid of the ball a lot quickly.
Right.
That hasn't been the case with Patrick Mahomes this year. He's just so good at making plays outside of structure and creating plays on the fly that it's important to have someone like Jalen Carter to provide pressure up the middle on guys like Joe Thuney and Trey Smith and those type of players, and which are good linemen, by the way. But get him off his spot, force him to maybe put the ball in the tight windows, and he doesn't have a whole lot of options to do so. So maybe the trust isn't there with some of his other receivers. So I think you want to kind of force him into making a hasty decision.
Dylan's enjoying the conversation this morning. He DMs and says, "Can Andrew answer this question? if I let him undo one move of this past offseason, what would be the move that you undo or decision that was made that you would undo? It's a hard one.
It's let's see. That's a great question, Dylan. Let me think here. I would.
He's got Darius Slay on his avatar, so I'm thinking he loves Darius Slay.
Yeah, I and you know the easy one would be opting not to re-sign James Bradbury, and I think that's irrational thinking. Where
So
I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment here. And James Bradbury is a very, very intelligent player and a high-end player, and he's going through a rough patch. There's no doubt about that. But I would say probably we talked about Nakobe Dean and the Nakobe Dean discourse. I would say putting all your eggs and all your faith in Nakobe Dean.
That was yours, Bob. Wasn't it all summer long?
I found it odd. I didn't know. It's not like he was a first-round pick. It's not like he's a can't-miss kind of guy. I didn't understand it. And they really didn't go out, as you said. Mora was released, and they brought him back. Like, they didn't even try to shore it up. So, yeah, that's a big misunderstanding to me, too. This Eagles team tonight going against Kansas City, do they need to outscore them, or do they need Kansas City not to score?
I think they need. Yeah, I think they need Kansas City not to score because Kansas City is really limited as far as weaponry goes outside of Travis Kelce. So and Kelce isn't, as I talked to Bradley Roby this week and other players, it's not the first route that'll beat you. It's the secondary routes that Travis Kelce can win on because of Mahomes' ability to win outside the pocket. So if you're able to kind of bottle him up, and that's the game within the game there, who's going to draw that assignment? If you're able to do that, I think that the Eagles should be able to move the ball enough to get on the board.
Lower scoring game, or
lower scoring,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, because that over/under number has spooked me. But is it the rain? Is it the rain game that plays it? Does that even factor into your decision at all about it being a low scoring game?
No, it's the fact that that both teams are vastly different than they were in the Super Bowl, and I think the Kansas City defense, particularly the pass defense, they're only allowing 176 yards on average to opponents, which is staggering. I think that you have to take those things into account.
All right, who's the unsung hero on the Chiefs that I'm going to hate tomorrow?
Mike Dana. Mike Dana, 5.5 sacks, second on the team. Really, that to me, Pat, I'm looking at Jordan Mailata versus Mike Dana, and that is a match that I'm going to be keying in on tonight.
Mike Dana. See, you never know what
it's a hateable name.
It is, isn't it? Pat,
yeah.
I love that.
Michigan. He went to Michigan.
Well, I hate him even worse then. I mean, it's just a Michigan game. I watched that Michigan game today. Win a national title. Michigan. People are trying to convince me of that. That McCarthy quarterback, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
he's got like noodle arm.
Yeah, he doesn't have what it takes.
Oh my gosh. Brian in the Northeast joins us. Brian, good morning. You're on the Fanatic. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, guys. Hey, congratulations, John. Again.
Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it.
Way to go. But I'm 5 years past my kidney cancer.
God bless you. God bless you.
You too, sir. Hey, quick question. While you have
you can ask Andrew. He's right here.
Andrew, how are you?
Brian, I'm doing great, man.
What's your take on Nolan Smith and Kaylee Ringo? Neither one really seemed to be hitting the field very much. I thought they should see some more time. Well, hoping that they would have seen more time by now.
Brian, I love this question. Why don't we start with Keely Ringo? Keely Ringo, he's just turned 21 years old to start the season, and I always like to remind folks that development occurs at different rates for different players, right? It's not instantaneous. We don't get that instantaneous gratification with every draft pick. And in the case of Keely Ringo, he's taken his role, and he's been the Eagles' best special teams player. And he's really taken to that role as a jammer, blocking for Britton Covey in the punt return,
which has clearly improved this year.
And Britton Covey singled him and Josh Jobe out right off the bat when I spoke to him as guys that have really elevated their performance to help his game. So Keely Ringo has, to his credit, he hasn't hit the ground running as a defensive prospect for the Eagles, and he probably was never really going to do so, given the veteran laden secondary that they have. But I think that he's really taken to his role right now as a special teamer. And he played one snap against the Vikings when they went with an odd defensive package. But he's not going to factor this year. But he's somebody that you're going to look at next season and see where he is from a developmental standpoint. I wouldn't sound the alarm button on him just yet. Give him a little time to develop. Nolan Smith, to me, guys, is really interesting because
Pat loves Nolan Smith.
Yeah, and a lot of folks do, and they should, because he has a lot of ability. But this could be the Nolan Smith awakening because Derek Barnett will not be playing tonight due to personal reasons. He was inactive last week and he only played 9 snaps, I believe.
Personal reasons? Do we have anything to worry about? Or
Yeah, they don't like his personal.
I have not. I won't even begin to speculate onto what that is. But
see, I tried to trick you your first appearance, and they
hey, listen, man, I might be young, but I'm a little savvy there. Look, he's not going to play tonight. He didn't play last week, and a lot of us thought that was going to be a uptick in snaps for Nolan Smith, and that necessarily wasn't the case. But eventually, you have to get a fourth pass rusher going because Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick have logged at way too many snaps as of late. You need them to have as fresh legs as possible going into the postseason run, the deep stretch of the season. And Brandon Graham has only played 28% of the snaps for a good reason because you want to conserve his energy and his pass rush acumen later in the season. So where is that going to come from? Where's that production going to come from? That, to me, is Nolan Smith. I think coming out of the bye week, you're going to see a bigger role for him.
Your first exposure to Mike from Delran as one of the Michael. How are you? Say hello to Andrew.
Hey!
It's game day.
Way too many games for me not to. Way too many days without an Eagles game. I've been supplementing with alcohol and drugs, and it's not good for my life. I'm super excited tonight. But Andrew, listen. Normally I just call and rant a bunch of nonsense, but I actually had a question. What is it about the tush push for us that we seem to be the only offensive line in football that can do it and do it successfully? Like, what's the makeup of our offensive line that makes it like automatic for us and impossible for everyone else? Counter!
Well, first of all, Mike, I like the energy. Love the energy this morning. So I would say this with the push. The Eagles are so fine in everything that they do because of Just Stoutland. The technical proficiency allows them to execute at such a high level. They have a quarterback, by the way, or squats, I should say, 600 pounds. So that also helps from a leverage standpoint. And it's just an attitude thing. It's a 1-2. And that's why they're so at it. And teams can't stop it. Other teams have tried to replicate that, and they're just not able to. The Eagles have the right remedy to combat what defense is throwing them.
You want to stick for a little bit more?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, Andrew Checo will stick with us from Inside the Birds. We'll discuss tonight's Eagles-Chiefs game, and I have a question for everybody. And it involves offense or defense, but it goes both ways. We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show here on Game Day. Remember, Birds pregame will come your way after the best show ever tonight with Bob and Pat and Andrew at the Trap Tavern here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I want you to get involved. Eagles and the Chiefs, you've waited for this since April. Bob played the one-loss game, and Bob, during
the fair.
We've talked a lot about how this bye week came at a good time with all the injuries and people getting healthy and all. Who do you think it benefited most?
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts with the knee. And I would say someone like a DeAndre Swift, who has had durability concerns, Bob, throughout his career. He's taken a lot of carries already, 135 this season. That's a lot for him. So getting him ready for the stretch run is going to be hugely beneficial to what the Eagles need to be able to do to have a multifaceted approach on offense.
I said the idea of Jalen Hurts, and you may have heard the conversation on your ride in. I was questioning, but I'm always going to do the Scooby-Doo thing, and you know that about me. The knee brace. Because everything I read about a bone bruise doesn't include wearing a knee brace. And I wondered, can you be playing a little, could they be fudging around with what was really going on?
Well,
would they ever risk that?
I don't think the Eagles would risk that, knowing where what their record is and what could be at the end of the season. Here.
Right.
Could be. But look, the sleeve. He's not wearing the sleeve anymore this week. He ditched it. He seemed to be in a much better mood than he normally is during his weekly press conference. I really do think that the bye week, John, was very beneficial to Jalen Hurts, and I'm interested to see if you're going to see him run the ball a little bit more. And that will also help enhance the running game. The fact that teams didn't necessarily have to honor or respect that aspect, knowing that he was dealing with something, also, with not having Cam Jurgens is a big reason why the running game wasn't firing on all cylinders quite like it was earlier in the season.
That's the curveball I expect tonight. I said over 5.5 or under 5.5 design runs for Jalen Hurts.
Over 5.5.
Well, seems like we're all on the same page with that one. So
Yeah, there was an interesting numbers here. With Cam Jurgens, Eagles average 165 rushing yards. Without him, 101. Now, I don't know.
That's a big difference, right?
It is. Yeah, I don't know if it's directly, Andrew, that it's just that. But besides what you said, or is it Cam Jurgens?
Jurgens has played at a very high level this year. There's no denying that. You saw the drop off. Sua Opeta held his own against the Rams, but he also got a lot of help. And Tyler Steen struggled when he got his starting opportunity. But I would say this: Cam Jurgens has been great, but also, Bob, the other side of that coin would be I think teams have been playing the Eagles differently. I don't think I know that because you didn't have to necessarily honor Jalen Hurts as that +1 that you had to account for, that he can completely burn you, and it added a whole new wrinkle and dimension to their offense. So not having to honor that, knowing he was dealing with something and he wasn't going to run unless he absolutely had to, was a got-to-have-it situation, also impacted the running game as well. They also faced a couple of good run defenses in the Washington Commanders, the New York Jets. So you don't discount that either. Sure. I don't know that it's a running game issue. I think that could probably get back on track as early as tonight. I do think that DeAndre Swift is in line to get his third 100-yard rushing game of the season.
Bobby, if you'd decide that one of these things is, do you think that Jalen running the football soften things up for the passing game or helps the running game be dominant? Because he's putting the stats up on the running game. Does it really soften things up for the passing game? And I want both of your answers on this.
Yeah, I like the run to set up the pass. I've said that a ton of times before, whether it's Jalen Hurts or not. I would love to see them establish a nice running game early and therefore open up the passing game. But that's not the way of the NFL all that much anymore. It just isn't. Andrew, I said this before. In that Dallas game, although his numbers didn't look good, DeAndre Swift's, a lot of it had to do with end of the game, hand the ball off, 3 and out, 2-3 yard runs here. But when he did run, when the game meant something, he ran hard and he ran well. Do they kind of have an eye towards? Well, I want you to answer John's question also, but do they have an eye towards the end of the season with him as far as you bringing up? Well, you don't want to use him too much.
That's where I think Rashad Penny comes into play, and not releasing him when a lot of folks thought that when you have all these different roster conundrums and how you're going to get guys on the roster, Julio Jones, Cam Jurgens, Quez Watkins coming up here soon, or is Rashad Penny going to be a release candidate? I think he plays into their plans later in the season as this bruising downhill type of runner when the weather gets colder and you're trying to bleed the clock a little bit and you're in these closely contested matchups in this brutal slate of games you have coming up. So that's kind of how I see that. I think it'll be a sort of a three-headed running attack. And let's not forget Boston Scott, who gets carries in the red zone at the most odd times. It's sort of like a spin the wheel circumstance. But I think you'll see more of a healthy rotation as we move forward into the season.
I love the idea of DeAndre Swift just becoming more. And as Bob talked about last week a little bit on the show, passing game, running game. I mean, he can be potentially. But where do you think he would actually, like, if you're talking about curveballs and everything, maybe we see him tonight out of the backfield catching passes. Maybe he gets 5 or 6 passes tonight.
I'm glad you mentioned that because not having Dallas Goedert completely reconfigures what the Eagles are going to have to do offensively and establishing a third passing option in the offense. Jack Stoll is the number 2 tight end by default, but he's more of a blocker.
What do you think of him, blocker?
He's a fantastic blocker, and he's a capable pass catcher. He's not going to do a whole lot when he does catch the ball, but it'd be cool to see Jack get a couple of catches because he does a lot of the dirty work in helping the offense function, and he always has a handful of catches throughout his career. He's been here 3 years now. Grant Calcaterra is another player that you could see maybe get some opportunities here, but those 2 players, when Dallas got 5 games last season, guys, Quez Watkins, 19 of his 30 over that 5-game span. So the Eagles,
we saw Zacchaeus tonight?
You might see some Zacchaeus. You might see some more Julio Jones. I think the Eagles are going to look to piecemeal that together to sort of replicate that production and also get DeAndre Swift, coming back to our point, DeAndre Swift, getting him involved a little bit more as a receiver.
I saw Dan Quinn use, his team use Julio Jones and line him up as a tight end sometimes. Now, his blocking is usually – I don't know how much it's dropped off. You're watching much more tape than I am ever, but he used to be an impeccable blocker. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if tonight maybe you would see him, but he usually would block in the running game. When he would line up at tight end, it would be in the running game.
Yeah, that would be interesting because that's Stoll's role, really. That's his calling card. But I think you might see Julio get
because it tricks them, right? Or not? If they see him lining up at tight end, don't you think they're throwing it? Whereas I've seen him blocking in the running game, and he's been very effective.
Yeah, it could trick him. I do think you're going to see him get a couple more targets this week. And like I said, I think it's going to be more of a piecemeal approach. I don't know that one player is going to be assigned with fulfilling the Dallas Goedert role. Jack Stoll is going to probably be the starter. And then from there, you're going to see them sort of shuffle guys in and out. Maybe Albert Okwuegbunam, who I've gotten a lot of questions about this season. He came over on cutdown day in a trade with the Broncos. He's only played 6 snaps this season. I don't know that he's going to be a viable option, but you know what? He's there as well. So,
if there was somebody, I don't want to say a non-star, but if you look at tonight's game and you said, this guy really has to have something going on tonight, it only popped in my head because you mentioned Julio Jones or somebody. But outside of the big name players, is there somebody or a matchup that you see, Andrew, that might intrigue you a little bit?
I love this question. I would say Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard, depending on and if you're considering him,
no, sure, that's a good one. Yeah,
Kevin Byard, I think, is going to draw a lot of Travis Kelce tonight. He's played him, to varying degrees of success. He's played him a lot of times in his career. Bradley Roby's another player who we've mentioned. He's only played 55 snaps since coming to the Eagles, but provides that veteran stability to steady that turbulence, help from a communication standpoint. Those are certain things that are sort of lost when you're looking at that back end, and you don't really sort of take that for granted. Those are 2 players right there. And then James Bradbury. James Bradbury, when he moved into the slot in the summer, that to me spoke to what the Eagles may have been looking to do with him down the line for matchups like George Kittle, for matchups like Darren Waller twice a year, for this Travis Kelce matchup.
All right, we're going to follow up on this one tomorrow morning. but you're going to be on the record, Andrew, with us. And, Bob, I'll put it to you first. Which Chiefs unit has more success tonight? The offense or the defense?
I'm going to go with the offense.
Pat?
I still think the secondary is questionable.
I would go with the offense.
Andrew?
The Chiefs' offense.
Okay, does that tell me something about the Eagles' defense? Or does it tell me something about the Chiefs' offense, which, by the way, is only producing 23 points a game?
Mm-hmm.
Which, to me, is really surprising. That's a jaw-dropping stat to me.
Well, there is something to be said for the Eagles having the 28th ranked pass defense and all these different moving parts shuffling in and out of the lineup all season. It's really hard to establish continuity and get that communication down. And a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is going to pounce on that all day. They might not compile a lot of points, but I think they're going to move the ball with relative success.
Okay. Now I ask you the question. Who has more success tonight, the Eagles' offense or defense?
I'm going to go offense.
Pat?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, I'll agree with offense.
Andrew's a clean sweep?
Eagles offense.
So you say both offenses, but people are telling us to bet the under tonight. I'm not just speaking to the betting public, but both offenses doing better than the defenses.
Yeah, I think they're going to move the ball, but I don't know that you're going to see it reflected in the box score or in the overall score. But I think that the offense is both the way that it matches up. I think that's sort of the way that it's going to unfold. It's really tough to see it going any other way for me, just based on watching both teams.
What scares me about your answers is the fact that we both said the offense is on both teams, but the defense on the Eagles is far inferior to the Kansas City defense. So that gives me a fear of this game now when I hear that, because we all think the offenses are going to be pretty good, but the Kansas City defense is clearly better. So that scares me.
Well, could you make the statement that the Eagles' offense is clearly better?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah,
it's 5 points a game, right?
So
I'm with Bob there. The Eagles can beat you in more ways than the Chiefs can.
Interesting.
It's Travis. The offense runs through Travis Kelce there in Kansas City. So they're a little bit easier. I don't want to say they're easy to defend, but they're easier to defend because they have a host of players that are these gadget type players. A one-dimensional player like a Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Rashee Rice is a nice player, but he's only had 41 targets. That's 31 targets less than Travis Kelce, who's their number one who's their target leader.
How about 24 games Andy Reid has faced a team off a bye? And thank G-Bass for this. Only 9 made the playoffs that year. 37% of teams. So that stat of Andy Reid's may be a bigger deal. It may be a lesser deal than everybody makes it out to be. Because of the fact that, look, he's playing a lot of teams that aren't playoff teams. Andy Reid's supposed to win with the Eagles and the Chiefs. He's supposed to win those games. Maybe the 37% isn't good. Maybe that's not a good number. Maybe they're getting weak sisters.
Well, you have to include also 13 times that bye week, not in those numbers.
Right.
13 more times a bye week is coming in the playoffs. And he's 31-6 overall. So I
watched him though in the playoffs.
I'm not going to look at that number and just disregard it.
No.
Yeah,
I've looked at it though, and I'm saying to myself, is that the he's had wet your pants moments in the postseason too.
Yeah,
it's not all been good. There's a number that Pat asked me to research, Nerd Boy, this weekend about doubling up, and the Eagles against New England, Minnesota, L.A., the Rams, the Jets, Miami, Washington, and Dallas did not double up. They did double up for 10 points against Tampa Bay in a game that Pat and Bob were at with Andrew, and they did double up against Washington with 2 field goals. I want the ball tonight. Win the flip of the coin, I want the ball. I don't care about this advanced analytics crap. Don't let Patrick Mahomes put you down in a game. And so your thoughts on that, because you're watching the tape, you're analyzing this thing. What do you think about that?
I would kick and take the ball coming out of the break there. But
you and Pat.
Yeah, you want to feel them out. It's going to unfold, in my opinion, like a boxing match, and you got to see what they're showing you and see how you're going to play them, and it sort of alters the course of your game plan and the course of the game. So I'm always partial to kicking off and them show what they're going to do.
Bob, would you? We talked about it the other day. Now today, looking at it,
no, I'm taking the ball. Yeah, I am.
Also,
if I can hold it for like 7 or 8 minutes, opening drive that sets a tone for the game that also keeps the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. Maybe it's one possession, maybe it's not. But if I have that option to do it, in this game, I think I'm going to go with my offense.
I think it also doesn't it give you an option like too that you're giving them an extra possession almost, because they're getting the ball first potentially, especially if you can control the ball. And in the Super Bowl, those touchdown drives are pretty impressive. They average out to around 5 minutes, 35 seconds, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They're nice drives. And the longest drive of the day led to a field goal, which I didn't like. So, hey, Don in South Philly joins us. Don, welcome into the John Kincade Show. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, boss?
Good, buddy.
I think the Eagles going to win 34-17, or it might be like 19, 20 points. The Kansas City won't score more than 20 points tonight.
Well, they've only scored 23 a game. I mean, Andrew, your eyes lit up on that one.
I love the optimism, Don.
The Eagles going to look like last year's team, and Reddick going to get to Mahomes at least twice.
They better get sacks tonight. They after all the whining about the field at the Super Bowl, you better sack him 4 or 5 times tonight if you're as big talking as they did after the Super Bowl going, if we played on a regular field, well, tonight, regular field, get out there. And don't tell me it's raining because both teams are playing in the rain.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see sacks tonight.
There should be. I mean, you're looking at it, the Kansas City Chiefs going into this game, 31 sacks. The Eagles have 30. You should see some sacks compiled here.
Kansas City's been really good at protecting Mahomes. Only 12 sacks all year so far. Is it as much them as him? Is he avoiding as well as they're blocking, or is their blocking just that good that they're keeping them clean?
Patrick Mahomes does a lot to mask, any offensive line
right.
deficiencies that may be there. And in this case, Bob, that's what it is. He's holding on the ball pretty long. He's an expert at extending plays and making plays outside of structure, and that sort of helps the offensive line and aids them in looking like they are a little bit more of one of the league's elite offensive lines, which they can be beat, and that's why, and particularly on the interior, which is why I think someone like Jalen Carter and having that healthy rotation of Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis is really going to come into play.
The Philadelphia Eagles going into tonight's game are one of the least teams in the NFL with offensive holding. 3 in their 9 games.
Wow.
Kansas City Chiefs, 12. One of the league leaders. In fact, Arizona, Baltimore, Miami, Saints, Cowboys, Bears, they're up 13, 14, 14. Chiefs are at 12. Right there. The Eagles have 3. They're second best in the NFL. Only the Steelers have less. That number says something to me, too. But I wonder, is what you just brought up to Bob the reason that Mahomes extends plays so long that sometimes that just brings holding penalties, and you're willing to take it for the benefit of him making plays?
Sure.
As far as that.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the gift and the curse of Patrick Mahomes is that the offensive line is forced to block a little bit longer than you'd like for them to, and that's where the grabbing and the penalties sort of play into that. But you take the good with the bad because he's someone that's a sort of a magician out there and can make things happen when it looks like it's going to be pretty dire.
The what's up on Inside the Birds game? I get a newsletter. I send a newsletter, so I get access to it all. But what's available, what you got prepared, and going down the night.
Yeah, Jeff and Adam have a podcast that dropped this morning. I had a story out on Bernard Williams, who was a 51-year-old former first-round pick in 1994. I spoke to him a couple days ago to get his perspective. He went to Georgia.
Oh,
Is it Georgia?
Right.
Yeah, so I talked to him to get his perspective because it showed up on the transaction wire. He gets cut 29 years later.
Did someone just forget?
He wasn't performing.
I'm surprised he didn't get a few snaps.
I said, "What is this,
Honestly.
a clerical error or what?" Because, but he reached out for benefits, and then they did some digging. But I'm going to be doing my in-game observations as always, and do a couple post-game stories after that. My rookie diary with Eli Ricks, which is a series that I'm doing all season long with Eli, going through the highs and lows of his rookie season. That's out there too.
And
so.
you can follow on Twitter.
Yeah,
You can have some of that too. So.
Yeah, then there's Twitter, which has everything on there. So,
which is great. Andrew, we appreciate you coming in. We love your insights, and we're glad we were able to get you in the studio and hang out with us a little bit, all right?
I appreciate you guys. It's been fun.
Thanks,
Thanks,
buddy. Andrew Pacheco from Inside the Birds. Be sure to give him a follow this morning, please, and be sure to follow his great content, too, as we get ready for the Chiefs and the Eagles. We've only been waiting for this game for 7 months. For God's sakes, we got a lot coming your way, including more. Bob says there's one thing. His feelings changed, but only slightly. but there's a big reason he still wants to have confidence. He'll tell us what that reason is coming up. John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. You know, if you're getting ready to move, or you're organizing your garage or your attic, or you're finally going to do that big bathroom remodel or something else around your house, the perfect cleanup solution is the Bagster. Why is it so perfect? Well, it's just $29.99, and you know I'm a little bit frugal, so I like that. You get it at Home Depot, Lowe's, or local home improvement stores. I like, too, that you can carry it out under your arm, and if I can set up a Bagster, I know that you can. So it's easy. It's a great product. A 3-cubic-yard dumpster bag, and you will absolutely love it. Buy the Bagster today. You don't have to begin your project till when you're ready, but I think it's going to motivate you knowing that it's there right there in your garage. The Bagster is easy to use. Whatever your cleanup plans are, clean it up, dump it in the Bagster. You buy it, you fill it, you schedule your collection, and it'll be gone. There's no time limits. It's completely on demand. So go to thebagster.com and find the store nearest you or get more details. It's John Kincade telling you, clean it up with the Bagster. It is a dumpster in a bag.
Fanatic. Philadelphia.
It's a football Monday on the Fanatic. Presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant, heating and air conditioning contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. Now, this music, Pat. Bob was strolling into the studio last Monday, heading into that. He was strutting. He's strutting, confident, chesty.
It's usually Bobby.
He was there. But in the past week, Bob, I think I've seen the confidence sag a little. And I think you've even acknowledged that a little. And with a team like the Chiefs, who wouldn't maybe have a little bit of a question? But what is it you started to maybe doubt? And why are you still confident after having that little fear?
Yeah, I still feel confident that the Eagles are going to win the game. That's going outside of the box because this is a tough game. You're playing one of the best teams in the NFL. It's Monday Night Football. It's at their place. It's going to be a very tough game. Yeah, last week I felt better thinking that they were going to win this one. I still feel they're going to win, but reading more about it and looking at matchups and all the stuff that's been written and talked about, it's funny. It was one of the lead stories on the NFL pregame yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, God, there must be crap games today if they're already talking about tomorrow night. There was.
Plenty of them.
I think Kansas City's defense is real, but every time I find something that might concern me a little bit, I go back to what I said to you, John. I think we're going to see the best version of this Eagles team that we've seen all year, and it's simply because they're healthy, really, really healthy. I think Hurts is going to look a lot better. I think Lane Johnson's probably feeling a lot better. Of course, they're getting Cam Jurgens back, and I love that you're getting him back where he could have played 2 weeks ago, but didn't.
They
took
gave
the
him
extra week. Yeah, so I do. I feel overly confident about the Eagles getting a win tonight.
How confident are you, Pat, moving forward? I mean, you hear Bob's thing there, but how confident are you moving forward that Jurgens and the Cam Jurgens and from Alabama, and I'm drawing a blank.
Landon Dickerson,
that they are long-term, pencil them in, write them with Sharpie. They're guys you're going to be able to count on because part of it is durability.
Yeah, that's
with the Eagles'
huge
offensive
part of it,
line,
especially with Dickerson. Jurgens, I don't know because Jurgens isn't a right guard. He's a center, and he's going to be the center of the future. So we haven't even seen this guy play his natural position.
Really interesting.
But if he plays I'm assuming that he's going to play his natural position better than right guard. He's been a pretty good right guard so far. Probably room for improvement there. But I'd assume that once he actually does play center, we're going to see the real Cam Jurgens. It's just a question of how much of a drop-off will we get because you're talking about replacing a Hall of Fame player in Jason Kelce. And those are big shoes to fill. But I'm probably I might be more confident in Jurgens just based off of health than Dickerson.
But you are confident.
Yeah, I am. But Landon, the only Dickerson is just durability factor. I mean, this guy came into the NFL with the needs of like a 70-year-old. So I'm a little concerned about that. But he's a stud. I mean, when he plays, he's a freak.
I saw some stats yesterday that caught, all the stats of win blocks and pass rush win, all of those stuff. It had him labeled as the best left guard in all of football.
Holy moly.
With his numbers
That's
this
awesome.
year. He is a mountain.
Yes, he is.
I thought it was cool. I think it was Mark Schlereth when we had him on. He said, I stood next to the left side of the Eagles offensive line. He said, I felt little. And Mark Schlereth, is a, 10, 15-year pro in the NFL at the same position. So, I think you have pretty much 3/4 of that offensive line, hopefully for the next 10 years already.
And that's the one thing, Pat. You bring up a great point, though. We're counting on we're counting on him to be the center of the future, and we've never seen him play center.
Yeah,
pretty much. Now I saw him play center in college, but not in
Jason Kelce picked him, so you figure
exactly.
Yeah, you figure Jason Kelce. What do you mean?
Like maybe he won't. Maybe they are so satisfied. You're going to need a right guard in the future, also.
Yeah, but I feel like guard is easier to find than center.
Good point. Yeah,
and you're right though. That did happen with Dickerson. Dickerson, when he was drafted, was thought of as the future center of the Eagles, and then they just had to put him. Yeah, they put him at left guard because they just had a hole there and he wasn't playing, so it made sense. But when they drafted Jurgens, it was like, no, we'll keep him at left guard. Yeah, there's a chance that the Eagles go into the draft and go, you know what, we really like what we see from Cam Jurgens at right guard. We'll just go with somebody else. We'll go with a rookie at center or something like that. But I personally think that it's just easier to fill guard positions than centers.
I do, Bob. You bring up a good thing though, is that they may love it so much that they don't, that they don't. But the fact that he was handpicked by Jason Kelsey tells me something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think there will be more of a familiarity with him being back in the lineup tonight, which is good. A lot of pressure, not pressure, but a lot of, let's say, circumstance was probably put on Lane Johnson's shoulders when he has somebody new next to him, and he had two of them. Two guys next to him that came in and out. So having Cam Jurgens back there, I think for tonight is a real good thing.
I had a bartender ask me a question. And a PJ's bartender, by the way. And
can I get you?
Ask me a question. Yeah. If you only could have had one, Jason Kelsey or Lane Johnson for their careers as you know it right to date, you could only have had one of them. Who would you have taken? And you get to know their entire career and what they've done and everything. Would you take Kelsey or Lane Johnson? And this bartender, I believe his name is Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Matt, if that's not your name.
No, names are bothering me. Like, names are a problem right now. He was adamant, Lane Johnson. No hesitation, no question, and he said he loves Jason Kelsey.
I am right there with him.
Now,
so you have no hesitation.
Nope.
And it's funny because you just said that centers are harder to find than.
Well, I said centers are harder
else.
to find than guards.
Yeah.
Tackles, though, are a different thing. For me personally, though, a bigger part of this is where they were drafted. You can miss on a 6th-round pick. You can't afford to miss on a 4th-round pick. The record with Lane Johnson in the lineup as opposed to when he's not in the lineup is, it's huge.
Yeah.
The Eagles have been fortunate. Like, they haven't really had bad centers. You went from, in my lifetime at least, you went from like Hank Fraley, Jackson, and then obviously you got a huge upgrade in Jason Kelsey. But 6th-round pick, you can afford to miss that. Fourth overall pick, you can't afford to miss that. And they got the best tackle in that entire draft. Because if you remember, he goes 4th overall. There were 2 tackles taken ahead of him. Didn't pan out. Lane Johnson's an absolute freak
was he 4th?
Stud. Yeah, he was 4th overall.
He was 4th.
That was a Chip Kelly pick that hit. But it's really...
Chip had a few that hit.
Yeah, he did. Zach Ertz being another one. Yeah, that's a Sophie's choice, though. I don't really like. But if I had to pick, yeah, I'd pick Lane Johnson. Keeping the quarterback upright is a little more important to me than getting to the next level.
That's what I leaned to. I also said... I delayed my answer, but I said Lane Johnson.
Yeah, I go the other way. I go Kelsey only in that your center's the most important position on that line probably because he's making all the scheme calls. He's making all the blocking assignments. He's calling out everything that you need to do. Did Jason Kelsey make Lane Johnson better? Probably more than Lane Johnson made Kelsey better, simply because the center is the most important position on the offensive line. Yeah, left tackle, blind side, we know all that. I think I'd go with that's a great way to put it. It's a Sophie's choice type of thing, but I think I'd go center in this case.
See, the bartenders are smart at PJ's. They're smart. Hey, 9 o'clock hour, the John Kincade Show begins, and it's brought to you by the Bagster, which is the dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's, and for details, go to Bagster.com. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce to you who is going to spring training, courtesy of our friends at PhillySportsTrips.com, 97.5 The Fanatic, and Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's your Rally House. The winner qualified with Andrew. So if you're one of our qualifiers out there and you qualified with Andrew Salchunas, you got a chance to be going. The answer is, sounds like a good Irishman, Bob, Brian Fahey. Brian Fahey, you are the winner. You will get a call later in the afternoon from Beasley Media, so be sure to answer your phone. Brian Fahey is our winner. He'll be going to spring training, and to that moment, he was not aware that he won. He had no idea that he'd won, and we were able to surprise him a little bit.
I was so happy.
Nice.
So Brian Fahey is going to spring training. That'll be the first week of March, the early trip that he is going on. So that'll be great. Have a great time with that. And so enjoy it, Brian. Have a good time.
I think I know a Brian Fahey.
Do you? Fahy.
Yeah.
Well, you could.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll do
Pat,
6
we
degrees.
could do 6 degrees of
Dude, we
cooning.
did a 6 degrees this morning, not to bore everybody out there.
This has been the highlight of Bob's day so
This
far.
is wild.
With
But
who?
no. So
I'm not saying it in a bad way.
Brendan Gunn comes over to me this morning. He's like, "Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm going to the game next week." I was like, "Oh, cool." He goes, "Yeah, I got the tickets, from Timmy Bishop and all that." And he keeps talking. I go, "Wait a minute, my friend Tim Bishop?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How the hell do you know my friend?" He goes, "Oh, well, my girlfriend's father you played college basketball with, and his girlfriend's mother, the whole family I grew up with."
Why
And
did
I'm
he
like,
not bring it up
That's
to
what
you?
I said. I go, "Oh, a long time. I just kept forgetting to bring it up."
See?
So his girlfriend
Right.
is part of the family of a girl that I went from kindergarten to high school with.
Give that family the inside scoop on Gunner.
There's
And
no
whether
bad
he's-
scoop on Gunner. He's a good dude. I
He
like
is a
him.
good dude.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Pat, the Eagles got no help this weekend. Bears, Tampa, Carolina, and the Bears saved me in my eliminator pool. And we talked about it earlier on in the show today. Do you really look at this as potentially a must-win?
You could make the case
Okay.
that it's a must-win. Do I look at it?
Oh, I'd make it.
No, but I think that if somebody out there were to say this is a must-win, I'm not going to dismiss it so much because you really,
People
you really
breathing
want,
down your neck this
yeah, and that's the thing. You want that number one seed at all costs. That's the most important thing. We've talked about it before. The idea of coming back home from Seattle and being able to not get on a plane until possibly the Super Bowl is a huge advantage. So in order to get that number one seed, you got to keep winning games. And their stretch is a hell of a lot harder than the teams that we just mentioned. To get no help at all this weekend, not that I expected it, but to get no help for the second straight week in a row, it kind of sucks. Now, luckily for the Eagles, two of those teams you have on the schedule coming up. So you've got Dallas, you've got 49ers. But, yeah, sitting there hoping to God that the Bears could find a way to win that game. They should have won that game. That sucked. But I think the case could be made. Yeah, you need to win this game, but it's not so much the angle of it's the Chiefs. It's more of what Bob talked about. Like every game's a must-win because it's the NFL, and there's a finite number of them. So
DJ asked this question, Pat. He says, "John, I'm going to get you fitted for a skirt." Congratulations on beating cancer, by the way. I love that. It's like I'm going to get you fitted for a skirt, but congratulations on beating cancer. He says, "Are you really going to worry if the Lions get the number one seed?" I will not.
I won't worry. It'll just be an annoyance.
He said if the 49ers got the number one seed, I'd be concerned. If the Cowboys got the number one seed, I'd potentially be concerned.
I'm not concerned if any of them get the number one seed. It's more of an annoyance that you don't have the bye and you have to get on a plane and travel.
Oh, yes.
That affects your team.
And that is something.
Yeah, huge.
That does matter.
Vince and the gang from Philly Sports Trips would have plane rides out to wherever they have to go, but it's one less game. And with a team that, think about the talking points that we've had the last couple weeks. Lane Johnson's injury, Dallas Goedert broken arm, Jalen Hurts' knee. Give those guys an extra week. You get the number one seed, you get an extra week. So, am I concerned? No, I'm not sitting there, terrified. No, and especially what he talked about, the Lions, the number one seed. No, the Lions, to me, they ain't there yet. But they have a really easy schedule. So that's a team where you look at and you go, okay, well, if we have to worry about a team, they're facing rough opponents. So, and the Eagles are facing playoff teams.
The one thing I would say, Bob, though, as far as looking at this and how this all shakes out, is last year you got to coast down the stretch and rest thing like that. I think yesterday, and not, as Pat points out, not getting any help means that the New Year's Eve game is definitely going to be in play, the second to the last game. And I'm hoping at least the Giant game doesn't mean anything. I would not want to go to MetLife on the last game of the year on the road knowing that the Eagles had to win to get the number one seed. Because not only do you then, you risk another game of risking all those kind of things, but I just wouldn't want to put it to risk like that. And I could see it happening with all these teams breathing right down their neck.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to the Giants to play. You're playing Danny DeVito. I mean, like, what? It wouldn't overly concern me. Yeah, you would say, like, lost opportunity. You could have rested guys for this last game and then had the bye. But if you have to win one last game to make sure you're the number one seed,
which you did last year, by the way,
and it's at the Giants, I think we all feel pretty comfortable with that.
Comfortable, Pat?
Very comfortable with it.
This is where you could say, fit me with the skirt. Because I'd be like, anything can happen in these games.
No, I'm all right.
I was shocked watching them play the Commanders yesterday. The Commanders, who actually went toe-to-toe for 60 minutes plus in one game and 60 minutes in another with the Eagles, that the Commanders got owned on their home field by Tommy DeVito. Now, that pissed me off, and it gave me concern going, what the hell's going on? Why did the Eagles have so much trouble with the Commanders when other people just tossed them around like rag dolls? That bothered me yesterday watching that. And I love the fact, though, and I'm hoping the Eagles can at least give the Giants a last game of the season win to just screw up their draft pick even more.
That was my takeaway from it.
They went from having the second pick to the fifth.
Yeah, it was, okay, good. So
one more win.
Yeah, it's another win where they mess up the draft
need at least one
selection.
more, though, to get them out of the top. But Caleb Williams, I mean, honestly, Caleb Williams are you fighting to get Caleb Williams? The next big game he wins is going to be the first. He is. And the one game, and I know people were like, don't mock him for it, but I've never seen, Bob, a player go climbing into the stands to go cry on his mom. I've never seen it, like, in a regular season game that wasn't for a championship. It wasn't like you lost the championship, you lost it. It was just weird to me to see that. And then the other night, he wouldn't answer questions after the game, wouldn't come to the press conference to answer questions. If he's going to be my quarterback.
He's not. Jalen Hurts is.
No, I understand. But if I'm a team looking at it, I'm going, I need to know that my guy's going to handle the pressure. And he does not. It appears he does not handle pressure very well. He doesn't win big games, doesn't want to answer questions after games. And the whole crying on mom thing, which was more of maybe it was a moment. I don't know. Maybe there was some special moment that they had that I don't know about.
No idea.
So I have no idea what it is, but you got to be able to do a little bit better than that, I would think.
Yeah, he hasn't helped himself a lot this year. That's,
I'd take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, I love that kid.
Oh my gosh. He is so awesome. He is such an awesome player. And I have a feeling that he's going to end up with Arizona because and yesterday the Bears had a game where they saw their quarterback play great. And he did. He played great yesterday. So they maybe are going, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I'd take Marvin Harrison Jr. all day long. Absolutely.
He is the real deal.
And I'd take Brock Bowers out of Georgia all day long. And yes, I know he's a tight end. He can line up as a wide receiver. He's an absolute freaking beast. And I would absolutely take him if you had the opportunity there too. But the Eagles obviously won't be drafting in that position, thankfully. They're going to be down right now. They're sitting in the 32nd spot, which is a really heartwarming thing to see them in the 32nd spot. Drafting because Howie's got the opportunity to then maybe win a Super Bowl, which puts you in a great position of excitement as they go. Let's give a hand today. Thank you at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa, where you can kickstart your holiday shopping with their Black Friday pre-sale. You buy a gift card at guest pricing, and you get a free promotional gift card. Restrictions apply. See the spa for details. I'm giving a hand to Dave Dombrowski because I think the Aaron Nola deal is a really good deal. The number, very manageable. The 7 years, as Ricky Bo pointed out, you're not worried about the last 2. You want him for the next 5. And I love the durability of Nola, and I know that he can pitch here. And so, Bob, I'm going to give a hand to Dave Dombrowski because it looked like last week. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm accepting on behalf of Dave from Hand and Stone Massage. I think last week it was clear there were other teams in on Nola, and they were pushing hard for him. In fact, I talked to one baseball executive this weekend who assured me that Philly was always his first choice, and he was absolutely transparent about that, him and his agent, that if all things were equal, he was going to Philly. So somebody better blow him away to be able to try to get him. They weren't blowing him away. Nobody blew him away. Nobody was going $30 million. He got a good deal, though, from the Phillies. I think it's a good deal. And it's almost the exact number you said last week.
Isn't too bad, yeah. Yeah, I had 7 for 175 or 5 for 145.
Which is
So they went
fantastic.
to 7, yeah.
I'm fine with him going to the 7 games, to the 7 years.
Yeah, I whether he's here or not, whether he's in this role or not, who knows?
What do you mean to role?
Maybe year 4 or 5.
He's the 3.
After being so durable, maybe he's I don't know, your closer.
Okay.
Maybe you do something different with him. Who knows? But you have that luxury having him under contract for that long, if you so choose.
Pat, I know that you weren't thrilled that he's back.
No.
Has anything moved you to say, okay? Has anything moved you?
Nope.
Like a Blue Chew?
Nope. Blue
Nothing.
Chew didn't work.
Nothing at all.
No, Blue Chew works for other things, but not making you feel better about your team making a move. I'm on an island. I recognize that, but I just was so ready to move on from him. Because the inconsistency, it has nothing to do with the AAV, the years. It was the mental toll that watching this dude pitch takes on me. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to go down this road of making me believe that he's a Cy Young winner. When we started this show, I was the biggest Aaron Nola guy, and
you used to argue with me about it.
Yeah, I can't do it again.
And I
don't enjoy watching this dude pitch and go 4 innings looking like he is Walter Johnson, and then all of a sudden the wheels fall off because pick an excuse. And then he ends up with a final line of 5 1/3 with 5 earned runs and 7 Ks. And then the broadcast has convinced us that it's actually a good outing. I just know I'm okay, but I got to wrap my head around it because and to keep people abreast of the situation. The last time I was not in favor of one of the big moves that they made in terms of a pitcher, Zach Wheeler, and that worked out. So trying to remind myself of that hey, the last time you could $1 pitcher, it was arguably the best move the organization's in terms of value.
I love the Wheeler decision then. But Pat, it's weird is that what I value is more than anything is the 32 starts. What I value is that he is a guy who guys break down.
But if the guy sucks in the 32 starts, what do I care?
He doesn't suck in 32.
Well, 4.6 ERA is not good.
How many starts do you think he sucks in?
I'd have to go back and look. 4.6 ERA speaks volumes. It's number 4.
Okay.
Stop doing that okay thing.
No, but I'm saying because you're yelling at me.
No, because you're sitting there praising one stat.
No, I'm
he
not.
makes a lot of starts. If he's not
That's
good
not
enough,
what I did. I didn't praise. I asked you a question. How many of the 32 starts do you think he sucked?
I'd have to go back and look. If you have a 4.6 ERA, you're not very good. More than half.
Oh, I would not believe that at all. Absolutely wouldn't believe that at all. Bobby, I mean, if you're his 32 starts, you think he sucked in more than half of them? Or half? I do not. I don't think I saw him suck in games. There were games that he sucked in, but some of the games he sucked in, he went into the 5th inning and 6th inning.
We're praising a guy going into the 5th inning.
No,
that's why we didn't want to sign a guy because he only went into the 5th inning.
I don't want. I want guys who pitch
like Pat. 4.6 ERA for your number 2 starter isn't good enough.
No, it isn't.
That's
last year, and that is last year.
And 4.6 sucks. So, I mean, I don't know how many games he sucked in or didn't suck in, or even your definition of sucks. But 4.6 for a number 2 starter, sorry, it sucks.
Well, 4.5 is a quality start.
Yeah.
Which is freaking ridiculous. Yeah. I think that is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. So it backs up Pat's point there. I think it's ridiculous when people talk about.
All right, what's your, I'll do this during the break. What's your definition of not a good start?
In the game?
Give me a bar.
Yeah, non-quality start.
Sucks would be to me.
It's got to be less than 6 innings and more than 3 earned runs.
Oh, no. I go sucks. Less than 6 innings, it's got to be 5 earned runs or more.
Oh. See, yeah. I think if you're going
sucks is a big
if you're
word.
going 6 and you're giving up 4 earned runs, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, but sucks.
Well, okay, then it's whatever.
Because wouldn't that be
sucks to me? Yeah, if you give up.
Wouldn't that be last year? Isn't that exactly what you got last year out of? When you're thinking about what this team is, you got it out of your 3rd starter last year.
What, Suarez?
Fourth starter, I should say.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's what I'm comparing him to. I mean, you were comparing to number 2, going 6 and giving up 4 earned runs.
I want to look.
That's
look
not
at
good
this
enough
here.
for your number 2.
The game log here. It's just interesting. He had a He had a 4.46 for the season. His first start was that game he blew against Texas, which was hard. But we were at PJs.
Sucks.
We were at PJs. That's a sucks. His second start, Yankees 7.45 ERA. Bob,
Sucks.
his third versus Miami a 7.04 ERA. That's a sucks. I think 5.91 against the Reds. He got out of the only start that I wouldn't have said sucks, Pat, by the way, by my standards, was the last start of April. Okay? Then he went May. Every single one of the starts was a non-suck. Then he went June. Every single one of the starts was a non-suck. Then he went July. Every single all 5 non-suck. Every 6 no suck. Like he cleaned up after the only suck to me was the beginning of the year, where in games he was just getting trounced. I get though, very mid, Pat, and I think it plays to your point. Very mid for what you're expecting of him. It's very mid. After the first month of the season, his ERA was around a 4.4.
I had 12.
Okay.
12 starts that either he didn't go 6. He would go 6 and give up 4 or 5, or he would not be able to go 6 and give up a lot.
Does the 202 mean anything to you as far as value that maybe sways you a little bit, or the innings?
You're talking like
his 202 strikeouts,
the strikeout,
his innings and everything. Like, does that does that get you at all? That it moves you at all?
Not really. If
No.
anything, I look at it that it might be a detriment because it's a lot of pitches.
Extra pitches, maybe.
But my problem too is like he goes 32 starts and he doesn't get to 200 innings. That to me is a little telling.
Yeah.
He just didn't have a good year last year.
No. But you also expect him to have a bounce back.
You look at 2020 3.28, 2021 4.63, 2022 3.25, and then last year 4.46. Like it's just every other year. I don't like the inconsistency.
And I don't think that's unfair. That's not an unfair criticism at all. But to me, sucks is a bad, I don't think he sucks.
Well, not good, sucks, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, how about not good enough? You and I can agree on.
Yes,
we can shake on that. We can
found
shake on that one.
Common
There's our
ground.
common
We are
ground
still
on this
friends.
one. We can do that one and shake on.
We were going to take our shirts off and shake
Well,
on.
I don't know about that. After these.
What?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What's going on?
Hey, the biggest game of the year is here. Bob says, well, that's when your biggest players got to come through. We'll talk about that coming up next as we get ready for the Chiefs and the Birds. And pregame will come your way tonight right after the best show ever here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, imagine if your favorite casino came with an undo button. Well, guess what?
Hopefully your Monday's off to a great start. It's going to be a long, long day. Getting you to kickoff. We're still 10 and a half hours to kickoff. Okay, come on. That's crazy town. All pregame and everything. Now, pregame, at least on the Fanatic.
8.5 hours until the Fanatic pregame show from Trap Tavern tonight. Me, Andrew, and Pat from 6 to 8 p.m. Come on out. You know who's coming out, actually? Mr. Ray Dunn.
Dickie Dunn?
He says it's his hometown bar, the Trap Tavern.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's why he yells, Trap Tavern!
I had no idea.
Yeah, he's very excited.
Now, when he's 21, he's going to be able to actually have a drink in there. Ray Dunn, youth pastor. I think what is he? He's 21 next year, I think. He's a youngster. A little youngster.
He looks younger than he is.
He is. He looks younger than he is.
He's actually 47 years old.
Really? He's got that? Well.
He's a father of 3.
didn't even realize that.
Did he?
He's not a kid. He has kids.
It's amazing. The biggest game of the year, clearly, it's the biggest game. But I got to ask you this, is that first off in this premise, I have a feeling the buildup for the San Francisco game is going to be bigger. Now, that sounds dumb, considering we've talked about this game over the bye week and everything like that. To me, I think that the San Francisco game, we are going to be so keyed up for that. Now, going 9-1 tonight would certainly make that a little less stressful. But by the game, you're talking about it, you need your biggest players. And that's the big deal tonight. We're all going to be watching for as the Eagles take on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I do. I just believe that we can go to Jalen Hurts. We know the expectations on him. He has to have a big game. But I think you have to go then to the DeAndre Swifts. I think you have to look at the defensive side of the ball where you can't have Bradbury and Slay be suspects out there. They need to be exclamation points. They need to be good players tonight. You go down that defensive line and name anyone and everyone. You need name players to make plays. And we had a caller earlier talking about Hassan Reddick's going to get 2 sacks tonight. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You need the name players to show up really big tonight. And I expect it to happen for the most part. I really do. Bradbury and Slay, has their play been off? Yeah. Is that what they are anymore? That's a concern. That's the concern that maybe that's who they are anymore. And so I don't know about that. The defensive secondary obviously concerns me. So you're going to have to get a big play from somebody or two. And we've talked about Byard being the guy that likes to cover Kelsey, and Kelsey's talked about him. He's in his head a little bit, so good. But, yeah, I just think your big players need to play really big tonight.
I like the fact, too, that, though, when a player shows that respect, like Travis Kelsey shows to Kevin Byard, and he said flat out, when he found out that the Eagles got Kevin Byard, he was not happy.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy about it.
He remembers him hitting him. And that's, when you've been hit 1,000 times, you forget a lot of them. But when somebody makes a statement like that and you talk about it, yeah, you put your stamp on that. That's good.
And to me, it shows the ultimate respect between competitors. That Kelsey feels that way about him, because it almost feels to me that if the Eagles could make Kelsey ordinary tonight, that there's no way they lose. Pacheco, not to be confused with Andrew DiCecco, who was in earlier. Pacheco, to me, would be the second sort of potential wild card thing that you'd go, okay, they could make it a long night for the Eagles if Pacheco has a big night, especially in the red zone.
Yeah, he's got a motor, that guy. Pacheco, every time he runs, he's up after he's tackled, he's ready to go next play. He's got such a high energy level that you don't want him, and it gets higher and higher the better he goes. You can't allow that tonight. The Eagles' defense against the run has been terrific this year. I don't really see Pacheco going off all that much, and they do like to do a running back by committee, and they'll throw some out of the backfield and all that, but I think Mahomes throws 35 times tonight, somewhere around there.
Do you believe that when you see somebody is really good at something, like the Chiefs are really good at pass defense, it's one of those things where do you adjust what you want to do because they're so good at it, or do you say, to hell with that, we're so good at it for a reason, we're going to do what we want to do and see if they can stop.
There's probably both of that, and I don't mind either one. Yeah, I want to go in and say, okay, great, you have a great pass defense. We have A.J. Brown. We have Jalen Hurts. We have Devontae Smith. It's not against us. So there is part of that. But the other smart part is, okay, if they're really good at that and they're not good against the run, instead of trying to prove a point, why don't you just make the point? I'm not saying getting away from passing, saying be scared of their pass defense, but where the advantage is, and going into the game, it's your running game. Look to take advantage of that.
When you watched football yesterday, you had an idea about the two conferences, and I had one too, but I didn't hear your opinion, so I want to hear yours and see if it matches mine, because I watched a lot of AFC football yesterday.
AFC has some good teams.
It does.
They have some really good teams. And
interesting teams, too.
Yeah, if you're going to do comparison and stuff, we're talking about a Detroit Lions team being the biggest concern for the number one spot right now.
Either them or the 49ers.
Yeah. And, when you say it, you almost have to laugh. Like, really? We're talking about the Detroit Lions here? Okay. But when you look over at the AFC, the Dolphins, the Bills could get on track. They haven't looked great.
If they get in, they could be a dangerous out.
Sure. The Ravens. Now, the Bengals having lost Joe Burrow, that's
pretty much
that's
out.
Really tough. I'm watching that Browns-Steelers game yesterday. My God, you talk about two defenses that are just tough as hell. Like, that's cool to watch. I love that
didn't
kind
mind
of football.
it. Yeah, I didn't mind it.
You had the Dallas game on at the same time, but I just found my son, you want to keep your mind in the NFC usually. But I just thought that Browns-Steelers game was so good and so intense that I kept my eye on that. Then, of
that's
course,
Jim Schwartz's. That's Pat's boy.
Yeah, then you have...
He's doing a good job. Yeah.
Best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, doing a good job.
It's amazing.
Then you have Jacksonville, who's 7-3 in the division. Yeah. The Texans are probably the talk of the NFL, maybe definitely the talk of the AFC so far. And then you still have Kansas City. There's a litany of teams that are all... pretty good. After the Eagles, 49ers, and sure, throw in maybe the Cowboys and the Lions, you're not talking that many teams like you are the AFC. So, come playoff time, the Eagles got to get through the NFC, but they might be facing a team that's really gone through some battles if they get to the Super Bowl.
I stumbled on this morning looking at some of my preseason wagers to see how they're doing on my BetParks app. Jalen Carter for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Thank you, Pat, for reminding me to jump on that early.
Yeah, it seems like a lock at this point, right?
It seems like a lock. He's having 3 times as successful a season as Aaron Donald had in his rookie year, as far as statistically.
God, that's
scary as hell. That is scary. Eagles winning the NFC, Eagles winning the Super Bowl and everything. Eagles over 12.5 wins, which I feel good about them getting to 13. Washington getting to 7 wins. That could be a bit of a problem. New Orleans getting to 10 wins. That could also be a bit of a problem as they're 5-5. The Jaguars getting to 11 looks good. Colts under 6.5 may end up costing me. That one could end up costing me. Cowboys getting to 12 wins. Bengals won't get to 12 wins. So that'll.
Did you bet every team?
I bet all those. Those are my. I used all my free bets, Pat. I kept stocking free bets. And then doing the Pat Egan method.
Yeah, I was talking to Brennan Gunn earlier today about winning and losing, and said the only reason.
And you like futures.
The only reason I'm ever ahead is because of my futures.
Hey, Brian in East Falls joins us on the. Brian, good morning. How are
you? I just wanted to call before I have to give my judgment tomorrow. I just really wanted to say, because I really think this is going to be like the breakout game for Jalen Hurts tonight, because. Just for the fact that he's going against Pat Mahomes, he's going to be playing against a better competition, and I can see him throwing for like at least 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards. And
wow!
I this is the game that he does not have a turnover, a fumble, or an interception, and that's what I've been waiting for all season. Is just that perfect game, and I think that's going to come tonight.
You think the perfect game comes against this defense?
I do. I think he wants it back from last year, man. I think he was sick about the fumble that I feel like costed us the Super Bowl last year. But I think he's been brewing on this all off season long. I think this is it.
He's the one who said it. He said that when, and Devontae Smith said it too, which is a little more awkward. But yeah. I love that energy. We'll see from you tomorrow. where you're sitting with that.
Yeah, and it really hit me last night, Saturday night when I watched the Super Bowl over again, the Eagles and the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts does look a lot different so far this year. It's like slower. And I don't mean slower of foot. I mean overall, the game just seems slower. Maybe that's the way they want him. Maybe they want him to slow it down a little bit too. But I don't know if anybody else watched that game on Saturday night or has watched it recently. But it really stuck out to me that everything was fast Jalen Hurts. Even his throws seemed faster and his runs seemed more often and faster. And I don't know. I can't really pinpoint it, but it seemed a lot different. And maybe and in a good way from last year. And maybe we'll see that again tonight.
One of our listeners saying that Dallas has the 5th best scoring defense in the NFL, giving up 17.5 a game. Eagles blew past that number. Tampa Bay gives up 20 a game, which, by the way, is very impressive for Tampa Bay. Eagles blew past that number. The Jets give up 20.4. That was a game that was the bit of the bugaboo. But when you look at it, the Eagles have had some good performances against some good defenses. It hasn't been all...
Well, they should. I mean, we all thought this was the best offense in football going into this season. And, with the wide receiver core that they have, with DeAndre Swift running the way that he was, a quarterback that last year was almost MVP and just seems to win every time he gets under center. Yeah, they should. I don't care the opponent as much. It's like I was talking about before. You might be facing a good pass defense, but they haven't faced you yet. They haven't faced your pass offense yet.
I love that point of it. That to me is really important too. They haven't faced you because it is. It said, is your strength better than their strength? Is yours better than theirs? And you got to go out and you got to put it on the line tonight. I'm wondering whether we're going to want to turn down the broadcast tonight or whether we're going to be pretty pleased. If it's going to be a big Mahomes love fest or is it just going to be Mahomes and Hurts? Sometimes people get I think Aikman and Buck have been reborn on Monday Night Football. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Really enjoyable.
Yeah, I've
enjoyed the broadcast. I got sort of tired of a lot of maybe it's the storylines that they would sort of harp on at times. They seem like they're having a lot of fun and really doing well with it. So should be a good one tonight. There is something I wanted to get to today, though. That and it is Tullamore Dew blend of the week, and Tullamore Dew Irish original, triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cast matured Irish whiskey. Because when it's game time, Tully time, and I need to ask Pat Egan.
Hello.
5 in a row for the Flyers.
Yeah.
It's late November. How much buy-in do you think people should have, and do you think people are having?
I don't think people are totally bought in yet. I think a big part of that is the Eagles.
Sure.
It's just that's a distraction. For us, it's one thing. We do this for a living. For a lot of people, though, it's focusing on 3 teams at the same time can be tough. But I do think that they've been a welcome distraction for a lot of people out there. I've not bought in yet, but I mean, two of the wins in this 5-game road stretch have been really good. Vegas,
Carolina,
stacked. Yeah, Carolina, 2 playoff teams there. I probably need to see a little more.
But the thing is,
but there's no expectation for this team.
That's what I'm saying. So isn't it easier to buy in when there's no expectation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we talked about this last week, if you have the Eagles doing what they have done this season, if you had that last season, we'd be thrilled.
Right.
But the expectation was to add on to what we saw last year. Danny Briere and Keith Jones have a clean slate. I think you're seeing the impact, though, of what happens when you have a healthy Cam Atkinson and a healthy Couturier. It does seem like their defense has gotten a little bit better. So
a little bit. I mean, 273 a game. That's pretty amazing, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, to me that's the story.
But they've been playing really well. I'm not necessarily bought in, but it's more of if you're a Flyers fan, you're probably sitting back very happy with the effort that you've seen so far this season.
I think Tortorella put it yesterday when he said, yeah, when we play hard, we can be in it with almost every team. Whether that produces wins or not, we'll see. He's teaching a system, not winning and losing and all that stuff. He's teaching a system. He's getting this organizational culture righted. And right now, it's not, even though they've won 5 in a row, I can read into what he's saying because I've seen it before. It doesn't matter. Yeah, wins are great and the players can rejoice in that, but it's not losing focus of what the culture needs to become. And that's what he's building right now.
Did you hear what he said, too, Saturday afternoon, Pat?
No.
Part of the reason is he says they've gotten the locker room right. The locker room has a better energy this year and positivity. And I wondered, not that many people exited the locker room.
Yeah.
Like who
Let's think. Who did? Well, Tony D'Angelo, who every team couldn't stand, and Ivan Provorov.
Provorov could have been too. So he made his return last night. Very lukewarm reception for him too, by the way.
Not surprising.
Why are you giving him a video thing? Like, what is
they
it?
give
Everybody
everybody a video thing nowadays.
Everybody gets one now, for God's sakes.
They did one for somebody last season, for a Sixer last season. It was Matisse Thybulle.
Yes.
Remember, everybody after Matisse Thybulle got a video tribute,
Then
everyone needs a
everybody's
tribute.
demanding one.
Everybody gets a tribute.
Like everybody wants one at that
freaking Thybulle got a video tribute
at that point. So
they had to really comb the internet to find the 1 3-pointer he was able to hit.
If Connor found it for them, our own Connor Thomas, who had the Thybulle jersey. Rally House actually called the Sixers and said one of the 3 Thybulle jerseys that was not sold to a family member was sold to our own Connor Thomas. So he got love on that one. So tonight, I have for you to end out the show today. And so I want to hear what the boys answer. I will tell you what word down. The least likely thing to happen in the game tonight is?
Least likely is that the Eagles don't turn the ball over.
Okay, so you do think they're going to turn it over?
Yeah.
Oh,
wet
geez.
field. They've just been a proponent of turning it over, yeah.
That's an interesting one. Pat, the least likely thing to happen tonight.
The least likely thing is that A.J. Brown does not have an A.J. Brown type game.
Okay.
And I know that they've done a really good job.
I love
the Chiefs,
that.
The Chiefs done a really good job, and Bob, you talked about it, stopping the Birds from what they want to do. I don't think anyone's stopping A.J. Brown. He's on another level at this point.
I put the least likely thing that I think would happen tonight is that one team would blow out the other.
That's good.
I think this will be a game where they're grabbing each other's lapels for at least 3 quarters before somebody potentially pulls away. The better coaching job will be done tonight by Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Sean Desai, or Spags. Who will we brag on to tomorrow? Will we
I think the Eagles win this one, so I'll go Desai.
Pat, Desai?
I will also go Desai.
You'll go Desai also. So you're all Desai up today.
I'm more of a Desai fan than Brian Johnson for sure.
I am too. By the way, I think our man Tyrone Johnson, who does a great job, best show ever, I think he thinks we're absolutely nuts on this, Pat.
On what?
That we're more Team Desai than Team Johnson. Because they always point to the 28 points and go, it's 28 points. They're scoring 28 points. I think there's a difference between taking the island of misfit toys and putting together something that's really impressive and putting together the best offensive group in the NFL and managing to get 28 points. And to me, that's where I'm at. I just can't do that one as much. That doesn't work. This one for you.
Wait, who's your most important?
Most important tonight, as far as that, is the one that's going to be? I think it's going to be Nick Sirianni tonight because I think Nick Sirianni has to keep his foot on the gas pedal. I don't want to see any, I want to see them be aggressive. I want to see them be aggressive. They always are. I wouldn't have settled for that field goal in the Super Bowl. That's just me. And they as people point out, they had converted a lot more than that. They were moving the ball well. But I understand 3rd and 6 is an odd number, and you maybe want to take a lead. But it was early in the third quarter, so I didn't think they needed to. It was halfway through the third quarter. I don't think they needed to go and say, "Well, we need 3 points here. We got to get the lead," and it potentially could have cost them a little bit later on. This one for you: the offensive MVP of the game will be. It could come from either side.
I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to be in for a game tonight. I think going to prove healthiness. We're going to see some. You have for 5. I don't know if I'd go. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go over that for designed runs, but we're going to see some, and I think he's going to be really good tonight. Now, this weather thing is starting to bother me a little bit. John Clark just posted something on Twitter. He's in like the parking lot. He said it's just going to be cold and rainy all day long there. That doesn't.
Why would it benefit?
It sucks to me.
But the thing is, though, the Eagles have a better running matchup versus the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean? So if that was the case, but Bob, it's not the game I want to see tonight.
Not the game I want to see either.
Right, yeah, exactly. You want to finally. It just seems like, I mean, look, it's the second time this has happened, but Super Bowl, you should have had optimal conditions. The field was crap, and then this situation is very similar, where you've got, a wet field and rainy, cold conditions. You just want to play this team to know how good you are with the best conditions possible. And I think if they lose this game and it's a monsoon out there, there's going to still be the what if. Yeah, I'm not saying I'll have it.
I know you.
There
don't
will
tend
be
to do that.
A sect of the fan base that says, "Yeah, but what if?"
How about we compete on the same field like we did in the Super Bowl against the same opponent, and go on out there and prove it tonight? The one thing you need to see tonight, and I'll go first. I need to see sacks. Give me at least 3, because there was all the talk after the Super Bowl that it was the field. Go on out and get some sacks tonight. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes is going to be on a wet field too. He'll be skating around, as will Jalen Hurts. But they've got the field covered and heated, by the way. It is heated. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as maybe we expect it to be. But maybe as the game goes along, Bob, it gets worse. What do you need to see tonight? One thing.
Sacks are very good by you. I need to see 100 yards from DeAndre Swift.
Oh, my gosh, that'd be good. Oh, combined, right?
No, running the football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you're asking a lot.
I don't mind that. I'm looking for 18 to 22 carries, something like that. But, yeah, I think I need to see that tonight.
Pat? Did you steal his?
Yeah.
Because you usually steal Bob's stuff.
Bob stole mine. That's not cool. But, yeah,
Bob's getting his revenge.
If it's going to be wet conditions, then I need to see DeAndre Swift kind of have himself a day. Now, where I'll disagree with Bob is the 100 yards on the ground. I'll go 125 combined.
Yeah.
But I think if DeAndre Swift has a day, then we're coming in tomorrow talking about a win.
Bobby.
But if they can't get the run game going, then we're probably talking about a loss.
There's a guy on here, Neil Dever, whatever, has a great line, and it's exactly how I feel. I can't stand bad weather when two good teams are playing. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about excuses or anything like that.
Does he think it hurts one team more than the other, or just the quality of the game?
Quality of the game.
Yeah.
I just want to see two really good teams go at each other on a really good playing surface and see what happens.
You know, one of the competition committee in the NFL has suggested that every NFL stadium should be retrofitted for a cover that they can put the cover on. Like a retractable dome.
You going to give the city 15
Nobody's going to do it. They'll want a new stadium before that. So, hey, it's going to be great. We'll see you tomorrow. Plus, we'll be previewing the Sixers in-season tournament. Big game.
That's still going on?
Against Cleveland. I just had Bob on it. Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, the Davis CPA Group. Ron Davis is the best, by the way. You need your taxes done? Go to this man. Make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today. Do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. We have waited since April for this game. We'll only wait till 6 a.m. tomorrow morning to talk about it with you. Have a great night. Enjoy the game. Enjoy Andrew South.